Hi everybody, after revising all 3 units, here comes the most awaited video, the entire class 12 computer science portion in one shot. Yes, you heard that right. This video help you revise the complete portion at once, making it super easy to recall everything before your board exam. Remember, board exams are not something to fear. They are just a chance to showcase your preparation and consistency. Believe in yourself, stay calm and trust your hard work. And yes, if you ever feel you need to go through any topic in more detail, check out this playlist available in both Hindi and English, clearing every topic in depth with examples and explanations. Alright then, let's start the revision. Don't forget to take a break when needed. Here is a list of tokens in Python. The first is keyword, the second one is identifiers. Here is the third one, that is literals. The fourth is operators and fifth one is nothing but punctuators. Out of this, identifier and operator is very important. Here is the first token, that is keyword. Hope you know what is token. Token is the smallest unit of the program with the help of which we write the programming statements. Here is the list of the keywords. All the keywords we will be writing in a lowercase letters except true, false and none. Look at the first letter. It is capital. The second token is nothing but identifiers. Identifiers means it's a name given to the different parts of the program. Identifiers is used to give identity, just like our name, which gives identity to us. Whenever we give name, we follow general common sense. In the same way, we will follow here certain rules. Variable name should not be keyword. It must contain only letters, numbers and only the special symbol underscore is allowed. And the variable name should not begin with the number. We know that Python is a case sensitive language, so uppercase and lowercase letters are different. Make sure you are clear with this concept because you may get question where you need to identify valid or invalid identifier. Here comes the third token, that is nothing but literals. Literals are constant. As we have different data types in Python, we will have different types of constants too. The next token which we are going to discuss, that is nothing but operators. It is very important. Operators are of two types. Actually, these are of three types. There is one more ternary operator also. The first type is unary. It means it operates on the single operand. The second one is binary operator. It operates on two operands. And the third type is ternary. It operates on three operands. Look at this diagram. There are total 8 different types of binary operators. Then let's go through all the operators one by one. The first is arithmetic operator. Plus, minus and multiplication. It's easy to understand. Division operator gives the quotient, but it gives the answer in the form of float. If you want quotient in the form of integer, you will be using float division operator. Please make a note of it. If any of the operand is float, then you will get answer as float itself. Apart from that, we have modulus operator which gives remainder. And there is one more operator, exponentiation. It is used to calculate power of a number. Alright, here are 6 relational operators. It is used to compare two values. Based on that, you will get true or false. The third operator is identity operator which will check the address of two variables. If the memory address is same, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Moving ahead, here is the logical operator. There are 3 logical operators. Out of that, not is a unary operator, whereas these two operators are binary operators. Logical operators are used to combine two different relational operations. It also returns the answer in the form of true or false. Hope you know the working of or and. Here is one more listed operator, that is bitwise, but this is not that much important, so we will skip it. Moving ahead to the last operator, that is membership. It checks the membership of the variable or the constant in the sequence. If it exists, it will return true. If not, it will return false. In the basics of all the programming language, this is one of the important topic, that is operator precedence. It decides in which order operators get evaluated. And in board exam, we surely get one question in which we need to evaluate an expression based on the precedence of operator. Here in the table, we have arranged the operators based on highest to lowest precedence. So look at the table. The highest precedence is having parentheses. So let's write P for it. The second precedence is given to the exponentiation operator. So let's write E for that. For us, these operators are not that much important. So let's skip it. Moving ahead to the next category. These are some of the arithmetic operators which has the next priority. For that we will be writing A. In that also, plus and minus has the lower priority compared to multiplication, division and the modulus operator. Alright, next priority is given to relational operators. And at last we have categories of logical operators. So to keep the precedence of the operators in mind, remember the word Perl. Let's discuss one more important point. In case of logical operators, out of these three logical operators, the highest priority is given to NOT operator, then and then OR. So if you have any expression consisting of logical operators, keep this word also in mind, NAO. Alright, we understood this concept. Now there is one more catch. What if we have one expression with all the operators from the same level? What I meant to say, let's take one example like x plus y minus z. There are two operators of same category. Then which one will get evaluated first? In that case, we follow the rule of associativity. What it says? The operators will execute from left to right, those who have same level of precedence. Here plus and minus have the same precedence, then x plus y will get evaluated first. All the operators follow this associativity, that is left to right, except exponentiation. It operates from right to left. Let me explain this with one simple example. Here is one expression of having only exponentiation operator. Now tell me what will be the output of this. Exponentiation operator operates from right to left. So first 2 to the power 1 will get calculated. It means we will get 2. Then 2 to the power 2 will get calculated. It means the result will be 4. Hope all your doubts related to operators got cleared. We will continue our discussion with the types of statements. The first is empty statement. Pass is an empty statement in Python. According to the syntax of the Python, we must write some code, but at this moment I don't have any code to write. In that case, we can write the pass statement. The second type is the simple statement. We can also call it as a single statement like print, input, and a is equals to 10 also is an example of simple statement. Moving ahead to the third one, that is compound statement. It's a unit, or we can say it's a group of statements like conditional statements and looping statements. In the revision tour of Python, we have reached to one important topic, that is conditional statement. It is used to check the condition, and based on the result of the condition, some statements will execute and some will not. Here is the first form of the if, that is simple if. We write if keyword followed by condition. If condition evaluates true, these statements will get executed. It means with the simple if we can write the true part. Look at the example. Here is a condition for even number. If the number is completely divisible by 2, it means its remainder is 0. That means the number is even. But what if I want to write the else part too? In that case, you will be using if else. Here this part is exactly same. This is nothing but true part. For false part, we will be writing else. And here is a block of statement which will get executed when the condition is false. The previous example we have modified with the else part. If this condition satisfies, the number will be even, otherwise the number will be odd. Moving ahead to the third form, it is if elif. Why we use this? If we have more condition, in that case we cannot use if else, because with if else we can check only one condition. In that case, we will be using if elif. So here is the first condition. If first condition gets evaluated to true, we will come to this part. Otherwise, in case of false, we are checking one more condition. If condition 2 gets evaluated to true, we will come to this true part. Again, if it gets evaluated to false, we are checking one more condition. In the same way, we will be continuing this. Finally, this will be the else part. When all the condition will get evaluated to false, the else part will get executed. Here is a simple example to understand this. With this code, we are calculating the grade or the result based on the percentage. If percentage is greater than 85, then we will get distinction. If not, we will check percentage is greater than 60. If it is greater than 60, then you will get first class. In the same way, we will be getting the other grades. We are finally at the last form of if. It is called as nested if. When we include one if inside another if, then it is called as nested if. When we use this form of if, after checking the first condition and depending on the result of that condition, we need to check the second condition. Then we use this type of form. We can form this nesting inside the if part, inside the elif part, or inside the else part too. Or if you want, you can include in all three parts. That's why there are 4 different forms of nested if. For this, let me give you one real life example. If you need to cast your vote, the first condition is Indian. If you are Indian, then only we are going to check your age. First, we will check your nationality. If it satisfies, then only we will ask your age. If both the conditions satisfy, then only you are eligible candidate to cast the vote. Here is the most important concept of all the programming languages, that is nothing but looping. In Python, there are 2 loops. Out of these 2 loops, we generally use for loop because it is easy to write, and while loop is used for creating infinite loop in case of menu driven program. Let's check out the syntax of for. We can use for in 2 different ways, using in or not in membership operator and using range function in the for loop. Then look at the syntax for the first form. For variable name in sequence. Here the usage of membership operator is that it will iterate over all the elements of the sequence. Look at this example. We have written the code for I in the list. So I will be taking each and every value of the list. If we print it, we are getting all the values. In the same way, here we are iterating over string. When we iterate over the string, we know we get the individual character of the string. Now let's check out how we use range function. Hope you are clear with the range function. In case of range function, we write start, we write end, and we write step. Start is optional, even step is optional. If you don't mention starting, it will be 0. If you don't mention step, it will be 1. What about this parameter stop? We must mention this, but this is exclusive. What is the use of range function? It generates a sequence of numbers. Alright, let's check out the syntax for variable in range function. With for loop, we create one block. Inside that, we write the statements which we need to repeat. Look at this simple example. For I in range 1 to 6. This is the starting limit and here is the ending limit. Ending limit is exclusive. It means we need to consider one less than the mentioned limit. It means what? The loop will execute from 1 to 5. We are printing it. Look at the output. We are getting the numbers from 1 to 5. That was for loop. Make sure you are clear with the for loop and the range function. The second loop is while loop. Generally, we don't use this because we have to write the steps in a different lines. It is used to create infinite loop like this. While true. True means always it will be true. Whatever statements you will write here, it will execute infinitely. That you need to break. So we take the choice from the user and depending on the choice, we break from the loop. Now what's this break? It's a jump statement. Alright then, now let's try to understand the jump statements. There are 2 jump statements, break and continue. Why we need jump statements? To come out of the loop in between. Break statement will terminate as soon as it encounters. Generally it is written with the if condition. When the condition satisfies, then we have to come out of the loop. As soon as the break encounters, the control will come out of the loop. Look at this simple example. We are iterating over the list with 5 numbers. We are printing it. But when the value of x will be 3, we are writing break. It means it will come out of the loop and the next statement will get printed. So we are getting the output of 1, 2 and 3. Now the value of x is 3. Because of break statement, the loop got terminated. So the rest of the 2 values did not get printed. Then what is the use of continue statement? Continue statement continues the loop from the next iteration. but in that process it skips the rest of the statements of the loop for that particular iteration. What it means? Look at the code. This is the same example, but here we are using continue statement. Initially the value of x will be 1. It is getting printed. In the same way number 2 got displayed. But when the value of x will become 3, we have written continue. What this continue statement will do? It will skip the rest of the statement. Rest of the statement means we have print x. So this statement will not execute. It means 3 will not get printed. And the iteration of the loop will continue from the next value. The next value is 4. After that we have 5. And out of the loop we have end of program. Hope you understood the execution of the code. This is the new concept in Python, that we have else part for the loop also. This else part will execute when the loop terminates normally. If you will use break, then this else part will not execute. Look at the example. Here we are printing numbers from 1 to 4 according to the range function. This loop is getting terminated normally. That's why else part got executed and we got this message end of loop. If we would have here break statement with some condition, in that case this part will not execute. Here is one more important concept related to loop, that is nesting of loop. When we place one if inside another if, it is called as nested if. In the same way, when we place one loop inside another loop, it is called as nested loop. How it get executed? For every value of outer variable, inner loop will get execute for all its possible values. Here the outer loop will execute from 0 to 3 and inner loop will execute from 0 to 2. It means in total it will execute for 3 times and the inner loop will execute total 2 times. It means in a whole this loop will execute for 6 times. Look at the dry run of this loop. Initially the value of I will be 1. We will enter inside the loop. Now the possible values for j is 1 and 2. Maintaining this outer loop value constant. After that again the value of I will get updated. It will be 2. What are the possible values of j? 1 and 2. Again we got these j values. Maintaining the I values as constant. Now we will get the last value of I. It is nothing but 3. And the possible values for j is same 1 and 2. I will be constant again. So look at this table. It executed total 6 times. This is how the nested loop gets executed. Hope you understood this concept. We know that string is a sequence of characters which can be enclosed in a single quote. We can enclose the string in a double quotes too. Even we can use triple single quotes or triple double quotes too. Triple quoted string can be used for assigning multi-line string. Even it is used as a doc string. Doc string is nothing but a comment for user-defined function. Individual characters of the string can be accessed using index. The most important property of string is it is immutable. It means you cannot change the individual content, individual element of the string in place. If you are changing it, new string will get created. To access the string, we can use forward indexing as well as backward indexing. Forward indexing starts with 0 and backward indexing starts with -1. It means you can use both positive indices or negative indices to access the string. Look at the letter A. You can access it with positive index as well as with negative index. Hope the concept of indices is clear to you. It will be very useful in slicing. Let's understand how to traverse the string. For traversing, we will be using for loop. For any variable you can take using membership operator, you can iterate over the string. This variable will iterate over each and every character of the string. So this is how we iterate over the string. Here is the list of the operators that we can apply on string. Plus is used for concatenation of the string. When you are concatenating, both the operand should be of string data type. Multiplication operator is used for repeating the string for the mentioned number of times. Both membership operator in and not in also can be associated with string to check the membership of the string in the original string. And here are all the relational operators. We know that relational operator is used for comparison. Here also characters will get compared based on its Unicode value or the ASCII value. Hope you are clear with concatenation. Here is the example. Let's proceed. This is the example for replication. Here is the example for membership operators. And this is nothing but the relational operator or comparison operator in case of string. Look at this table. Here are some Unicode's value which are mentioned from A to Z. It is from 65 to 90. Hope you understood. It means A will be less than B because A has 65 value and B has 66. In this way, every character has some ordinal value. Here is the value for small case A to Z and here is the value for 0 to 9. If you want to know the ordinal value, you can use ORD function, and if you want to know the character for the corresponding ordinal value, you can use this CHR function. This is the most important concept in case of string, and surely you will get one question based on slicing. Look at the format. First is starting index, second is the ending index, and third part is the step. All three parts are optional. If you don't mention start, 0 is the default value for the start. If you don't mention ending index, till end of the string will be considered. And the default value for step is 1. Let's note down one more point. End and step is exclusive. As we can access the string in forward direction as well as in backward direction, step can be negative too. Not only step, starting and ending index also can be negative, or you can use mixed also. Look at the different format to write slicing. Here we mention start as well as stopped. In the second format we skipped end, then whole string will be considered. By default, slicing will be in the forward direction. When you mention negative step, then only the slicing will be in the negative direction. Look at the third format. We skipped starting. It means it will start with 0. In the next format, we skipped all three parts. Here starting will be 0 and we will consider the whole string. We will go till end of the string. Here is the last form where we have mentioned all three parts. Start, stop as well as step. Look at this example. Here step is 2, means we have to consider every second character from the starting position. By now you will have an idea how to reverse the string using slicing in a single statement. Here starting index is not mentioned, even ending index is not mentioned, and the step is -1. It means you have to access the string in the reverse direction. Hope you understood it. It is very important concept. Alright, now we are moving ahead to the section of functions and methods associated with string. Look at the list. List is very long, but they are very easy to understand. Out of this we will be focusing more on the important one. The first is the split method. Split method will split the string based on the provided delimiter. This parameter is optional. It means if we don't provide any delimiter, the string will get split based on the space. Let's look at the first example. Here is one random string. We are using split method on the string with no parameter. Then look at the output. We got one list of the words which are separated based on the space. In this string, here is the first space, second space and the third space. That's why we got 4 elements. This is at the index 0, 1, 2 and 3. Split gives the answer in the form of list. Now let's look at the second example. Here we are providing one delimiter, or we can say separator. Based on this character, the string will get split. There are 2 commas. So we will get 3 elements of the list. Then output is very clear. This is the first element, second and the third. Based on comma, it got split. So remember this method. It is very important. It is used in string, useful in case of list too. You will need this method not only to solve theory questions but to write programs too. Alright, we are moving ahead to the next method, that is replace. From name itself, we can assume the working of the replace method. Look at the example. In the given string, we need to replace world with Python. Look at the output. World got replaced with Python. Then note down the syntax. Search value, what we need to replace, and new value will replace on the search value. All the methods and functions associated with string can be understood from its name. Here is also one of the important function. This is function, not a method. By now you know the difference between function and the method. So len function counts the number of characters in a string. Here there are 4 characters, that's why we got 4. In this string there are total 6 characters. Here is one more method, that is capitalize. It will convert the first alphabet to uppercase. It will not touch the other characters. Look at the example. We applied capitalize method on the string data. So only the first character or the first letter got capitalized. It's time to move ahead and discuss another method. The name of the method is find. It will return the lowest index of the substring in a main string. If we cannot find the substring, then -1 will be returned. Have a look at the syntax. Starting and ending index is optional. If you want to search the substring in a particular range, then you can mention start and end. Here is a simple example. We need to find out this string in a main string which is at the index 2. So we got the lowest index. Lowest index means we will get the first occurrence index of that substring. If we couldn't find, we will get -1. Alright, here is a category of is functions. It will give result in the form of true or false because it checks. The first is al num. It will check for alphabets and numbers. If it is there, it will give true. If not, it will give false. In the same way, we have is alpha. It will check only alphabets. Is digit will check digits. In the similar fashion, is space will check for space. Is lower will check for lowercase letters. Is upper will check for uppercase letters. There is one more method called isTitle. It will check the string is in title case or not. What is the meaning of title case? The first character of each word will be capital. So with that, is category of the methods got over. Now here are some methods which will convert. Lower function will convert the string into lowercase. Upper will convert to uppercase. Title method will convert the string to title case. So we have lot of methods to convert as well as to check. Moving ahead with some more methods. Swap case will convert the case of the alphabets of the string. If it is lower, it will convert to upper. If it is uppercase, it will get converted to lowercase. We saw one split function, but for splitting there is one more function named partition. Then what's the difference between these two? Partition method will split the string always in a tuple of 3 elements. It includes the separator as one item and the string before that and the string after that. So always you will get one 3 element tuple with the separator as one of the element. This is also an important method, count. It counts the number of the occurrence of a substring in a main string. Means you can count how many times that string appear in the main string. Look at this example. B is 2 times in the string. Alright, we are almost at the end of the list of the methods. Here we have starts with and ends with method which checks whether the string, the main string is starting with the mentioned substring or not. In the same way, ends with also works. To understand, look at the example. I want to check whether the given string is getting started with the mentioned py. Yes, it is starting. So we got true. And with ends with, we can check whether the original string or the main string is getting ended with the mentioned one. Yes, it is. So we got true. In this way, you got to know there are lot of methods and functions associated with string. But the most important is split. List is very important data type in Python because it is mutable. We can modify the content in place. So throughout the Python portion, we will be using list. Even data structure stack will be implemented using list. So if you are clear with the list, it is easy to understand stack. Elements of the list are enclosed in a square brackets. It contains mixed data which are separated by comma. Alright, let's take a small tour of list. With the hope that you know how to create the list, we are starting our tour. You can directly assign the elements of the list or you can use list constructor to create list from other sequence. Empty square brackets means it's a empty list. Here are some of the example in which we are demonstrating how to create the list from the other sequence. If you wish to enter the elements of the list, use eval function along with input function. What about accessing the individual elements of the list? It is exactly same as string because we use index. Here are the basic operations that we will be performing on list. Traversing the elements of the list is same as string. Here we will iterate over the elements of the list. If you want to join two lists, concatenation operator also works in the same way to join two different lists into a single list. But both the operands should be of data type list. This replication operator also works in the same way as string. And here is the important concept. This is important in case of string, list as well as tuple. We already discussed it in the video of string. With the hope that you are clear with it, let's move ahead. This is also one concept related to list, that is shallow copy and the deep copy. When we assign the value and create one copy of the list, in that case both the list will be same. If you will change in one list, it will reflect to another. But if we create deep copy with the use of list constructor, then the two lists are different lists. If you will change in one list, it will not reflect in other one. Alright, here is the list of the functions and methods associated with the list. With the help of these functions and method, task will be very easy. Out of all these functions and methods, append method is the most important method. Alright then, let's revise them in short. The first method is index method. It gives the index of first match elements of the list. 30 in this list is at the index 2. So we got 2. It will give the first match. That's why we are not getting the index of this next 30 element. Note that if element doesn't exist in the list, it will fire the exception value error. Now look at the most important method. Append method adds an item at the end of the list. Note down the syntax. It will take only one element and it will append at the end of the list. Look at the example. Here is the list. We are trying to append grapes to the list and it got added at the end. As list is mutable, it will change the original list. That's why it will return no value. We need to print the original list. Extend method also adds the item at the end of the list, but here you can add multiple items. That's why it takes a whole list. Here is the first list and here is the second list. Look at the output. First list followed by the second list. Second list got appended to the first list. We check two methods, append and extend, but both these methods are adding element at the end. But if you want to add at the specific index, then you will be using insert method. That's why we are providing index and the item. Look at this example. We want to add this O at the index 3. When we check output, it got added and the element at that position got shifted to the next position. In this way, with these three methods, we can add the element to the list. Now let's check out how to delete it. For that, we can use pop method. This also you need to keep in mind because we will be using in the data structure stack. By default, it removes the last item, but if you provide the index, the specified element will get deleted. In this example, we are trying to delete the item which is at the index 2. So when you will print the list, this item will not exist. Pop method returns the value. If you will print it, you will get the deleted item. Because in future, if you need that deleted item, you can store it in a variable. By default, it will delete the last item. Along with pop, we have remove method. It removes the first occurrence of the given item. In case of pop, we provide index, but in case of remove, we need to provide value. As we know what we need to delete, that's why it will not return anything. We provided E, that's why it got deleted. When we will print the list, you got to know that there is no existence of the element E. Again, make a note of it. If item doesn't exist, you will get exception value error. Using exception handling, we handle this type of exceptions. Along with pop method and remove method, we have one more option, that is del statement. Look at the syntax. It is a statement, not a function and not a method. The advantage of using del is we can remove the elements by specifying the range. With del statement, we need to provide the index. If you want to delete the range, you will be mentioning the start and stop. If you don't mention anything, it will completely remove the elements along with that object. That's why when we are trying to print it, we are getting exception name error. It means the list 1 doesn't exist. Here is the first form of del statement. We are providing index. It is clear from the output that the element at the index 2 got deleted. In the second example, we are providing the range. Accordingly, the elements will get deleted. We discussed three different options to delete the element from the list. First one is pop. In case of pop, we need to provide index. Whereas in case of remove method, we need to provide value. The third option is del statement. Here also we need to provide index. But there is one more arrangement, that is clear method. Clear method will delete all the elements of the list, but the object will exist. That is only the difference between del and clear. It removes the elements along with that list object. But clear method will delete only element and the empty list will exist. If you will print it, you will get empty list. Clear method doesn't take any parameter because it deletes all the elements. Here is the count method. We even use it in case of string. It counts the item occurrence. 40 is present 3 times in the list. Here is one more method. Name is reverse. It will reverse the items of the list. Here is the given list. If you will reverse it, you will get the elements in the reverse direction. Alright, we are at the last method. It is sort. Sorting means arranging the elements in a particular order, ascending or descending. Look at the parameter. This is optional. If without any parameter you are applying sort method on the list, then it will sort the elements in the ascending order. But if you need to sort it in the descending order, then you need to write reverse equals to true. Look at the output. We got the elements in the descending order. Here is the summary of the different operations that we are performing on the list. We can append the elements. For that we have two methods, append and extend. Append method will append a single element, whereas extend will append a list of elements. For inserting the element at the specified location, we have insert method. If you want to modify or update the element in the list, then directly you will be assigning the value using index. Here are some of the options to delete an element using pop, remove, del function. If you want to delete all the elements, we have clear method too. And if you want to sort the element, we can use sort method. Tuple is just like list, but what's the difference? The main difference is that tuples are immutable. We cannot change the content in place. Another difference is we enclose the elements in round brackets. Just like list, tuple also provides mixed data type. Hope you know how to create tuples. Generally we enclose the elements in a round bracket separated by comma, or you can use tuple constructor to create tuple from another sequence. If you want to create empty tuple, you will write empty round brackets. But make a note of it. If you want to create a single element tuple, you will write one element followed by comma. If you mention element like this, Python will consider it as an integer, not as a tuple. If you want to create a tuple with many elements, then you will separate it with comma. Tuple constructor can be used to create tuple from another sequence. In this example, we are creating tuple from string, and here we are creating tuple from list. We understood how to initialize the elements, but if you want to take through keyboard, you can do it. Here is the first way with the use of tuple constructor along with input, or you can use eval along with input. When we use tuple function with input, the input will get converted to string. That's why the best option is to use eval. Eval function will keep the data type as it is. It will not change it. Here is the list of tuple operations. The first is traversing. It is just like list. Joining two tuple also similar to string and list. We can use plus operator to join two different tuples into a single. Replication operator also works like string and list. Slicing concept also same as list and string. Here is one new concept, that is unpacking. But what's the packing? Packing means creating a tuple from set of values. Then the reverse of it is a unpacking. When we create individual values from tuple elements, it is called as unpacking. Look at the syntax. Here is one tuple and here are the individual variables. Look at this simple example. Here is one tuple with two elements. That two elements of the tuple can be separate out in a separate variable. When we are printing it, we are getting the individual element of the tuple that got stored in a different variables. One thing we should note down, when we are unpacking, the number of variables should be same as the number of elements of the tuple. Alright, now we are proceeding to the tuple functions and methods. As tuple is immutable, we cannot perform many operations on it. We cannot add the element, modify the element or delete the elements. That's why there are very less number of functions and methods associated with tuple. These methods and functions we have already discussed in case of string and list. Hope you remember it. Let me tell you in short, let function gives the number of elements. Max, mean and sum function gives the maximum element from the tuple, minimum element from the tuple and sum of the tuple elements. Index method works exactly same as list and string. It gives the index of first match element. Count method also works same as list. It gives the count of the item. Here is the tuple method which we discussed already. It is used to create tuple from other sequence. We know that dictionary is also one of the important data type. We enclose the elements in the curly brackets. The elements of the dictionary will be in the form of key value pair. These key value pairs will be separated by comma. Here is the important property of dictionary. It is mutable. It means we can change the content in place. In this key value pair, key will be unique but values can be duplicate. There are different ways to create dictionary. Empty dictionary can be created by writing empty curly brackets. If you want to assign elements, you will be writing in the form of key value pair. Along with that, you can use DICT constructor to create dictionary from other sequence. When we create dictionary from other sequence, we make use of zip function. So make sure you are clear with it. Now let's try to understand how to access the individual element of the dictionary. In case of dictionary, we don't have index like string, list and tuple. Here we will be using key because key will be unique. So if you want to access the value for the corresponding key, you will be writing dictionary name followed by key name in the square bracket. In dictionary, we have two different things. One is key and the other one is value. That's why there are lot of functions to deal with keys and values. If you want to access all the keys, you will be using keys method, and to access all the values, you have values method. Here is a list of operations that we can perform on dictionary. As dictionary is mutable, we can add the element to it, we can update and modify, even we can delete the item from the dictionary. Along with that, we know we can traverse the dictionary. Let's take a small tour of all these operations. Here is the first operation, traversing a dictionary. For that we use for loop. When we traverse over the dictionary, we will be traversing based on key. Look at this example. For A in my class, A is nothing but key. But if you want to print the value of the corresponding key, then you will be writing the dictionary name followed by the key name in the square bracket. Here is the output. These are the values. We can add the element to the dictionary as it is mutable. For that we will be using simple assignment operator. Write the name of the dictionary along with the key name and assign the value to it. Ultimately, this key value pair will get added to the dictionary. Make sure the key already doesn't exist in the dictionary. Look at this example. We are adding this key value pair which is added at the last. If you want to update or modify the elements of the dictionary, that also we can do using assigning the value to that particular key. Here, key must exist in the dictionary. Look at this simple example. We want to modify the value for this key. Using assignment operator, we are providing the new value which got updated. We understood how to add the element in the dictionary, how to modify or update. Now let's check out how to delete the element. For that we can use del statement. We are familiar with del statement. We have already used it. But here we should note down the syntax. We need to write the dictionary name along with that key name. Then that particular key value pair will get deleted from the dictionary. Look at this example. We mentioned key 3. So this key value pair got deleted from the dictionary. If this key doesn't exist in the dictionary, you will be getting exception key error. The second option to delete an element from the dictionary is pop method. Pop method also we have discussed in case of list, but here the syntax is different. In case of dictionary, we must provide first parameter as key. If the specified key doesn't exist in the dictionary, we will be getting error. To avoid that, we can provide this value. This is an optional parameter. Look at the example. With pop, we have mentioned key 3, so that key value pair got deleted. If the specified key doesn't exist in the dictionary, we will be getting key error. To avoid this, we can provide the message or we can provide some value. Then that message or value will get printed instead of this exception. This is also one of the operations that checking the existence of the key. Before performing any other operation and getting error, we can check whether key exists in the dictionary or not. If yes, then we can perform the required operation. If not, accordingly we will be going ahead. For that we use in and not in membership operator. Alright, here are some of the functions and methods associated with dictionary. We are already familiar with this function len. It counts the number of elements. In case of dictionary also, it works in the same way. It will give the number of elements. Here are 2 elements. That's why we got 2. As we have used len function on all the data types, clear also we have used earlier. Clear method is associated with list too. The usage of clear method is same as when we apply it on list. Here also it will delete all the elements of the dictionary. The dictionary will be empty then. There are lot of methods associated with dictionary. Here is one, that is get method. Get method is used to get the value for the given key. Here is the syntax. We will be providing the key and we will get the corresponding value for that key. Look at the example. We provided key 2, we got the value for that. This is one of the important method we will be using in case of dictionary, because when we iterate over the dictionary, by default we iterate over key. But if you want to iterate over both key and value, then we will be using items method of the dictionary. It returns all the items but in the form of tuple. There is no parameter for this method. Look at the example. When we applied items method on the dictionary, we are getting key value pair in the form of tuple. To get all the keys of the dictionary, we have keys method. It also doesn't take any parameter. Look at the example. We got all the keys in the form of list. As we have keys method to get all the keys, we have values method to get all the values of the dictionary. The syntax is simple. Look at the example. We got all the values: milk, eggs and apples. This is also one of the important methods of the dictionary. We may get 1 mark question in the board paper based on it. Then let's try to understand what's the use of update method. It is used to merge 2 dictionaries. This will be new dictionary which will get merged with the original one. Look at the example. This is the first dictionary and here is the second dictionary. The second dictionary will get merged with the first if we write the syntax like this. We know that in case of dictionary, key cannot be duplicated. But in case if we have duplicate keys in both the dictionaries, then the value of the second dictionary will get updated on the value of the first dictionary for that duplicate key. Alright, let's try to understand what is function. Function is a subprogram, or we can say it's a block of code which performs a specific task. There are a lot of advantages of writing function in a program. If we take example of user-defined function in real life, it is just like carpenter, plumber or electrician. They perform their task. And as and when we want, we can call them. Functions support modularity. It means we can break down the bigger problem into smaller one. It avoids confusion. Even it reduces the program size. With all these pros, it is easy to manage program, and reusability is the most important advantage of the function. We can use them as many times as we want. So once we write the code and we use many times. Now let's talk about the types of function. The first one is building functions. Here are some of the examples of built-in function. We need not include any module for that. They are already built into the programming language. The second type is the functions which are in some modules. Here is one module named math. If you want to use these functions, we must include this module using import statement. And the last type of function is user-defined function. User can create their own functions for their functionality. These two are developed by the developers, but this user can create their own functions. Alright then, if you want to create our own functions, we should know how to do it. For that, we will be following this syntax. First of all, we should write this keyword def followed by the function name. And here are the parameters which we are passing to the functions. With colon, block of code will get created, and here are the statements which are part of the function. Here is a simple example of function def message and the empty brackets. We are not passing any parameter here. This function prints simple message. If you want function should work on your past data, then you need to pass these parameters. So this function will calculate the sum of two numbers passed by the main program. Here are different names given to the different parts of the function. The first part is function name. It is nothing but identifier. These are the parameters, or we can say argument to the function. This complete line is known as function header. The block of statements is called as body of the function. And using return statement, we generally return the computed or the calculated value to the main program. And this whole thing is the definition of the function. Don't worry, there are so many new concepts, but as we progress through this topic, you will get it easily. We know that if we have some work related to furniture at our home, we must call the carpenter, then only carpenter will come to your home. In the same way, we need to call function. For that, we have to follow this syntax. We will be writing the function name, and if we have parameters, that also we will pass. Let's understand these two terms. First is argument and the second one is parameter. Look at one simple example for that. Here is the function call. When we pass the value from the function call to the user defined function, that values are called as arguments. It is also called as actual arguments. And the values which are received in the function definition are the parameters. It is also called as formal parameters. Generally, arguments and parameters words are used interchangeably, but we should know the difference between them. In the function call, we have arguments, and in the function definition, we have parameters. Before writing any function with parameters, let's understand different parameters also. There are three types of parameters. First is positional, second one is default, and third one is keyword. Generally, we use positional arguments. Don't bother too much about the word argument and parameters. They will be used interchangeably. From the function call, we pass arguments to the parameters. So all the parameters must have values. It is called as positional argument because their position matters. The first value will get stored in the first variable and the second value will get stored in the second variable. It means what? Arguments will get matched with the parameters, that is position wise. Alright, now let's discuss the second way of passing parameters. If you want to assign some default value to the parameter, then you will be using the concept of default argument. In the function header, we will be writing that parameter as a last parameter. In between, you cannot write it and assign some value to it. What's the advantage of it? If you will not pass this value will get considered. But if you pass the value, that value will get the priority. So tell me, what will be the result? If we pass only two values, the third value will get considered z equals to 10. It means we will be adding 2 plus 3 plus 10. We will get 15. What about this function call? We are passing 4 here. It means the value of z will be 4. So the result will be 2 plus 3 plus 4. It will be 9. Here is the third way of passing parameter called as keyword or name parameter. In this, we pass the parameter with name. Look at this function call. We are writing the name of the variable along with its value. The value of x will be 10 and y will be 20. We are passing the value with name, that's why it is called as name parameter. What is the use of it? We can change the order, we can send it in any order. Because we are passing with the name, same name we will be using here also. So there is no problem with the order. Here is one more important concept related to user defined function, that is returning the value from the function. This will be our user defined function and here will be main program. From main we pass the value to the functions. Function will work on that value and the process value will send back to the main program. It is like a give and take relationship. With this main program will have control over user defined function. If the process value will return back to the main, we can proceed further with our code. Why we do this? Let's try to understand with one real example. Suppose this main program is me and this user defined function is nothing but carpenter. I call carpenter for some furniture work. I want to make one study table for myself. I decided to give the stuff to the carpenter like wood, ply and nails. Carpenter will work on and give back that study table to me. Isn't it meaningful? Carpenter will not keep this study table with him. He needs to give back to me so that I can use this study table for my purpose. This is how the passing of data between main and user defined function works. But it is not necessary. Some function will return value, some function may not return value. Ideally, we send back the value to the main. So let's understand, if you want to send back value to the main program, how we do it. For that, we will be using return statement. After return, we will be writing value. It can be constant, it can be a variable, or it can be an expression also. Look at this simple example. We are passing two values to the user defined function. It is adding them up and returning the result to the main program. We can accept it in a variable, or directly also we can print it on the screen. Generally, we stored it in a variable so that we can use it further. It is not necessary that you must return value. In that case, you will be printing the result here itself. One point we will note down, that in Python, if you don't send any value, then also none will send back to the main program. Look at this example. Here is one simple user defined function printing some message. If we will accept that function in a variable and print it, you will get none. Alright, then based on the criteria that you are passing the parameter to the user defined function and you are returning back the value from the user defined function to the main program or not, there are 4 different combinations of functions. Here void means you are not returning any value back to the main program, and non-void means you are returning back value to the program. Based on that, again there will be 2 types, without argument, with argument. In the same way, if you are returning value back, then also you have 2 options, without argument and with argument. If this seems complicated to you, look at these examples. Same examples are written in all 4 combinations. This is a simple program of addition of 2 numbers. What is the first possibility? Void function without argument. It means you are not returning value, not passing any parameter. Not passing any parameter means this bracket will be empty. If you are not passing any parameter means function needs to take its own values. It took its own value, calculated it and printed it, because we are not passing anything back to the main program. Hope you understood the first type. Now what's the second type? Void function with argument. With argument means you are passing some value to the user defined function. Calculation is done, but it's a void function. Void means you are not returning back anything. It means you will print the result in the user defined function itself. Alright, let's check out the third type. Non-void function without argument. Non-void means you are returning the value back to the main. Without argument means you will not pass any parameter to the user defined function. You are not passing any parameter to the user defined function means user defined function will take its own value. You are returning the value back means you will accept it in some variable. With the hope that you are getting what I am trying to explain, I am moving ahead to the last possibility. Non-void function with argument. Non-void means you understood, right? We are returning the value. With argument means you are passing the value also. It means there is a give and take relationship between user defined function and main. You are passing the value and returning back also. If you are passing the value, let's pass the value. 10 and 20 is getting passed. Calculating the result, and you are returning back the result to the main. That's why we have return statement also. If you will understand these 4 combinations means you understood everything about functions. So I would suggest to practice these 4 types yourself. Alright, with that let's proceed to the next topic. We talk about returning value to the main program. In Python, we can return more than one value. This is not possible in other programming language, not in C, C++, even in Java. But in Python, we can pass back many values at the same time. Look at this simple example. We are passing back 2 values at the same time. When we pass back, one tuple will get created. When you will print it, you will get to know one tuple will get created. The answer will be this. If you don't want the answer back in tuple, you can do tuple unpacking. So based on the number of returning value, write the name of the variables. First value will get stored in first variable, second value will get stored in second variable. Then you can print those variables v1 and v2. So this is the unique feature of Python. We can send back multiple values at the same time. Alright, related to function, this is also one of the important concept, that is nothing but scope. Scope will decide the accessibility of the variable, because main is also a block of code and user defined function is also a block of code. So scope of a variable will decide where it can be accessible. There are two types of scope, global and local. Let's understand in short. Main will have the global scope, whereas user defined function will have the local scope. And main is just like whole apartment if you are staying in apartment, or consider it's a complete city. Alright, let's discuss about global scope. It is a top level segment of the program. It means what? If a variable declared in the main program, it is accessible throughout the program. Even it is accessible inside a particular block of code. Let's take this example. This is the main program. In program we have declared two variables n1 and n2. It is visible throughout the program, even it is visible inside the function also. If you will try to access these variables inside the block, it is accessible. You can print it because it has a global scope. Then what is local scope? If a variable is declared inside a block, that variables are called as local variables. It will be accessible only within that block, not outside of that block. So in this example, if you will try to access ABC variables outside the block, you will get error. Look at this example. str is declared inside the block, so it's a local variable. You cannot access it outside. You will get error. You might get this doubt in your mind. What if both the variable names are same, global as well as local? Look at this example. We have one global variable as well as one local variable. And if I want the value of the global variable inside the block, you know what will happen? The function will give priority to the local variable, not to the global one. In that case, you will be using global keyword. If you use global keyword in front of the variable name, it will consider the global variable. Look at the code and look at the output. You will understand. With global str, I am telling this block of code to consider the global variable and I am printing it. So here is the output. Hi from main block. Then we are creating one local variable with the same name and printing it. Look at the output. We got the message hi from local block. So highest priority is given to the local variable. That's why Python follows this LEGB rule. First the local variable will get considered, then enclosed, global and then built-in. For now we will concentrate on local and global variables. Here is one more concept when we are dealing with function, that passing mutable data type and immutable data type. First let's understand what happens when we pass immutable data type to the function. You know what are immutable data types. Immutable data types are numbers, string and tuples. We pass value to the user defined function. But we know in Python variable is just a reference. So when we create new variable, new reference will get created. In this example there is one variable, 10 value is assigned to it and we are passing it to the function. In user defined function we have taken variable name n. Now look at this diagram. These two variables are different. The value of num got initialized to n also. Inside the user defined function we are working on the n. We incremented the value of n. So 10 plus 5 will be 15. Look at the diagram. We actually worked on the variable n. It doesn't mean we are changing the value of number. Number is unchanged. When we are printing the value of number, it is 10. But in function n got changed to 15. So what we understood, if we are passing immutable data type, the changes in the function will not reflect to main. Whereas if we are passing mutable data type, changes will reflect to main also. Look at the example. Here is one list. It is of mutable data type. Mutable data types are list and dictionary. We are passing list to the function. In the function we updated the value of the first element. From 10 it became 15 now. If we are printing the list in the function, we got 15, 20, 30. And after the changes we are printing the list in the main. Look at the output. The changes reflected back in main too. So let's summarize. If we pass immutable data type, the changes in the user defined function will not reflect back to main. Whereas if we are passing mutable data type, the changes of the user defined function will reflect back to main. It means what changes will reflect back depending on the data type. Hope you understood this concept. It is very important. Based on your syllabus, we must have the knowledge of these three different modules. The first one is math, the second one is random, and the third one is the statistics module. Out of these three modules, random module is very important because you will be getting output based question on it. Alright then, let's discuss the important functions from this module. Here is list of some of the function of math module. It means all these functions are part of the module. And to use this, we must import the module first. For that, we will be using import statement and then name of the module. Now, with the use of module name, you can use the functions of that module. Alright, let's check out the functions now. Here is a power function which is used to calculate the power x raised to y. For calculating square root also, we have one function sqrt. Make sure these functions will give the answer in the form of float. Along with these functions, there is a long list of functions which math module provides. There are trigonometric functions as well as logarithmic functions. And that is very easy to understand. There is nothing complicated about it. But let's discuss these two functions also which are used for rounding the numbers. The first is cell. It will rounds up. It means it will round up to the next integer value. If you want to keep the functioning of cell function in mind easily, just think that where ceiling will be on the top. So it will round up to the higher integer. Look at all these examples. Cell function will always rounds up. 4.1 is also 5 and 4.9 is also 5. Hope you got it. The reverse of it is a floor function. Always floor will be in the down. That's why it rounds down. Look at the example. 4.7 will be 4. It is rounding down. It means floor function will round to this integer value. Along with that, there are lot of functions. Let's check out. Look at the list of the functions math module contain. All the mathematical functions are available in it. But along with functions, you will have some constant too. This E is a constant. We are well familiar with such constant. It is nothing but pi. Here it is. You can also use this if you want to use the value of pi in your program. Look at the output. When we are printing the value of pi, we are getting 3.14. Alright then, let's proceed to the next module. It is statistic module. All the functions related to statistics will be available in this module. Out of many functions, we will be concentrating on three: mean, median and mode. Obviously, these functions works on set of data. In that case, we can provide list or tuple. What is the use of mean function? It calculates average. Here is the next function, that is median. Median means it's exactly middle value of the given data. Look at this example. 30 is at the middle. That's why we got 30. When we are using these functions, we need not worry about the formula, how to calculate it. It will directly give the answer. The third function from this module is mode function. It returns the most frequently occurring value in the dataset. Look at the example. 3 occurs thrice. That's why we got 3. Like math module, we must import statistic module also using import statement. Now we are proceeding to the most important module, that is random module. From this module, we are going to discuss 5 functions. The first is the random function. What it does? It gives the random number. But what type of number? It gives float. Then what's the range? The default range is 0.0 to 1. 1 is exclusive. That's why you will not get 1. Less than 1 you may get. But now you may raise a question, what if we need to provide the range? In that case, you can use uniform function. It takes the range A to B. It means it will provide the floating number in between A and B. Alright, we understood how to generate float random number. But generally, we don't go for floating point random number. We need integer. For that we have rand_int function. It will obviously generate integer number in the given range. Make a note of it, it is inclusive. Inclusive means outer limit is also included in the range. Make sure you are clear with this function because we will be using it in a output based question. If you want to generate integer random number using step, then you can use rand range. Here you can provide the step value. Based on the step value, the numbers will get incremented. Look at the example. Here the step value is 2. It means the possible values will be 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9. Out of these you may get any one. Now let's discuss one more function, choice. From the given data, which can be in the form of list, tuple or string, it will choose a random element. How it will work? Look at the example. We are providing a list of string. Out of that, one random element got selected. Hope you are clear with the usage of all these functions because we are gonna use it to solve the questions. Alright then, first of all, let's try to understand what is exception. Exception is nothing but error. But what's the error? Error are the problems. When we execute the program, the problems will occur and the execution will stop. If we talk about the types of error, there are two types. The first is syntax error and the second one is the exception. It is also called as logical error. From the name itself, it is clear what is syntax error. Syntax error will occur when the syntax is wrong. But what is exception? Syntax will be correct but still we will get the error. That's why we can define exception as an unexpected event. Let's first go through syntax error. Look at the example. Here syntax is wrong because colon is missing. These types of error are identified by the Python interpreter. It will give the name of the error and a description about the error. Here are some more examples of the syntax error. Here 10 is initialized to one of the keyword which is invalid. And look at the next example. Double quotes are missing here. To help the programmer, Python interpreter will give the description of the error. So we can rectify it and correct it. Moving ahead, let's understand what is exception. First program will pass through the syntax test. If syntax is correct, then also we will get the error. That type of errors are called as exceptions. It will halt the program abruptly. So it is the duty of the programmer to catch and handle the exception. Look at this example. Syntax is perfectly fine. But in this case, we are trying to divide 5 by 0. It is not allowed. You will get exception. The name of the exception is zero division error. Then what's the problem with this code? We are passing string to integer function. We know ABC string cannot be converted to integer. That's why we are getting value error. Because this parameter is wrong for this function. There are lot of built-in exceptions. Here one of them, module not found error. Look at the name of the module. We have written it wrong. That's why we are getting this error. To give the clarity to the programmer, here is the description of the error. Here is one more exception. We are directly trying to print the value of the variable z which is not initialized. That's why we are getting exception name error. And in this example, we are getting attribute error. When we get this type of exception, when any object is not having the specified attribute. Here number is not having append attribute. So here are some of the examples of exception. Look at the list of the built-in exceptions. We already discussed some of the exception from this list. This exception zero division error will fire when we will try to divide a number by 0. If you will try to import wrong module, you will get import error. If the specified index doesn't exist and you will try to access it, you will get index error. In a dictionary, if key is not present, then you will get key error. Name error exception will get fired when you will try to access the variable without creating it, means without initializing some value to it. In case of improper indentation, you will get indentation error. If we pass wrong data type, value error will get fired. We understood how we will get the exception, but it is the responsibility of the programmer to handle it so that our program will not stop abruptly. For that, we will be using try except block. So there are 4 different blocks for the same. Let's discuss one by one. The code which will raise any exception, we will write that code in the try block. If there is a try block, except block is must. What is the use of except block? In case of exception, the control will go to the except block. In this code, exception will raise because we are trying to divide a number by 0. Look at the output. The control will go to the except block. In that block, we are printing the message. So, we got the message. Here are some more examples of exception handling. We are trying to import the invalid module name. So, this statement we wrote in the try block. And when the exception will raise, we will come to the except block. So, here is the output. It is clear why we are getting this output now. In this case, we are trying to access the variable without creating it. That's why exception will get fired. And when the exception will raised, we will come to the except block. In except block, we are printing the message. That message will get printed on the screen. Here is a perfect example. If user enters denominator as 0, then the exception will raised, and for that we are printing a proper message. Now our program will not abruptly stop. So user will get an idea what's the problem. There are many built-in exceptions in Python which we have already discussed. If you want to specify the name of the exception, you can specify it with the except keyword. In that case, the program will perfectly accept that exception. Here is the name of the exception import error, and here is the name of the exception, that is name error. To catch specific exception, we can do this also. When we are writing except block, there can be multiple except block. In that case, we can mention the specific name. And at most, only one exception will get accepted. That's why at most one handler will get executed. But we can have more than one except block. Generally, we write the specific exception in the beginning and generalize one at the last. If this exception will not get accepted, it will check for the second one. If this is also not get accepting, it will directly come to the generalized one. It means from top to bottom, the exceptions will try to match the specified one. Here is one more example of multiple except block. We can skip the last generalized except block too. It is optional. In this case, we will get index error exception because we are trying to access 10th index which doesn't exist in the list. Alright, then we are moving ahead to the third block. It is else block. We know we write the code in the try block which may raise exception. In case exception got raised, we will come to the except block. But what if exception will not get raised? Then we will come to the else part. Because it is obvious that always exception will not raise. In that case, we have else part. It means if exception will not raise, we will directly come to the else part. Look at this example. When we are trying to divide number by 0, exception will get raised. We will come to except block. That's why we are getting this message. But in this case, it is perfectly fine. Exception will not raise. It means we will come to the else part. In that we are printing the result. That's why 2.5 is the answer. Hope you understood it. When exception will occur, we will go to the except block. But if it will not get raised, we will come to the else part. Alright, there is one more block. The name of the block is finally. In case exception get raised, we will come to the except block. If exception will not get raised, we will come to the else part. But finally block will always execute whether the exception is getting raised or not. The control will come to finally block always. Generally, this block is used to close the connections in case of database or file. Because exception will arise or not, we need to do that process. Finally block is completely optional. There can be only one finally block. The exceptions which we have discussed was built-in exceptions, but we can also raise our own exception. For that we can use raise statement. First we will be writing raise, then the exception name, and here is the optional argument. We can write here message. What we need to display when exception is getting fired. Look at the simple example. We are initializing one variable with -1. Generally we raise the exception with some condition. That's why we are using condition. If x is less than 0, raise the exception, and here is the message. This exception object is a generalized one. You can write the name of the exception too. Now look at the output. Here is the generalized exception that we got, and here is the message for the same. And here is the example 2 for more practice. If you want to specify the name, you can specify, because already we know the name of the built-in exceptions. If you want to go ahead with that built-in exceptions, you can write down it. Now one question will arise that exception is getting fired. It means again the program will terminate. Then how to handle it? For that you can use try except block. Write the code in the try block which may raise exception, and in except block handle it. So when the amount is less than 5000, you will get value error exception. Look at the output. Here we have initialized 2000 which is less than 500. That's why we got exception. There is one more concept, that is assert. It is generally used to test an expression. When the expression becomes false, the exception will get raised. Look at the syntax. We will write assert keyword followed by the expression. It is nothing but the condition. And here is the optional parameter arguments. It is a message for the exception. We are entering the age of a person. If the age is greater than or equal to 18, we are writing the message. If this condition evaluates to false, then only this message will be getting. You will get this type of output. Let's imagine I am entering the age 10. So you will get the message you are minor, because this condition is getting false. Generally, we use assertion in case of function at the beginning of the function or at the end of the function to verify the input value. Look at this simple example. We are passing some value to the function. If it is greater than or equal to 0, then we are printing some message. If this condition will evaluate to false, then this message will get printed. And in our case, yes, it is getting evaluated to false because we are passing -2. It is not greater than or equal to 0. So look at the output. We got assertion error. Only positive numbers are allowed because we need to calculate the square of only positive numbers. Here is one more example for the same. According to the syllabus, we must know 3 types of file: text file, binary file, as well as CSV file. CSV file is a type of text file. But what is file? It stores data permanently in your disk. Text file stores the data in the form of ASCII characters, or we can say Unicode characters. It will be in the readable format. We can open the text file in any text editor like Notepad. Make a note of it. Each line in a text file will be ending with the \n. It is called as end of line character. Whenever we talk about the file, here are the basic operations that we will be performing on it. The first 2 operations, that is opening the file and closing the file, is must. Apart from that, we can write data to the file, we can read data, as well as we can append data to the file. From exam point of view, we will be concentrating more on reading data from the file, because generally you get 3 marks question on the text file where you need to read the file. So let's check out how to open the file. We are opening the file means we are creating the file for different purpose. For that we need to use open function. The first parameter is file name that we are going to give to the file. And the second parameter is the mode, which decides for what purpose you are creating that file, for reading, writing, or to append the data to the file. Default mode is read mode. So here is a list of the different modes available for the text file. Out of these 6, we will be concentrating more on these 3 modes. For reading the file, R mode we will be used. To write data to the file, we will be using W mode, and to append the data to the file, we will be using A mode. Now here is the operation of closing the file. Why we close the file? Because there will be connection established between the disk on your computer and the program. That we need to break to keep your data secure. For that we will be using close function. It doesn't take any parameter. It works with the file object which will get created with the open function. Alright, file got created. Now we need to write data to the file. For that there are 2 options. The first is write function and the second one is write lines. Write function write a single string to the file, whereas write lines write a list of the strings. We will not concentrate more on writing data to the file because you will not get question on it. You will be getting question on reading the text file. All the file functions will be working on the file handle, or we can say file object. So here is the syntax of write function. Let's check out this code where we are writing one name to the file. The first step is to open the file. Here we are writing the data, that's why we are using W mode, and this is the name of the file. If we are using text file, we will be writing the extension as .txt. Write function takes string, so we are providing it. It works with the file object, so here is the name of the file object which we have created with the open function. Always the final step will be closing the file. In this way we got an idea how to write data to the file, but file is used to store large amount of data, not one name. In that case you will be using looping. In this code we are taking name of the student and writing it one by one using write method. Hope you understood the usage of write method. But what's the problem? It takes only one string. But what if you want to write a whole line? In that case you will be using write lines function. It takes a list of strings. Look at the output. Here is a list of strings. If you will write, you will get the data in this format. Again, if you want space or \n, that you need to write explicitly. You know, writing lines one by one will not be practical. In that case again, we will be using loop. But write lines take a list of strings. In that case, we will be using append function of list. So in the beginning, list will be empty. We will enter the name of the student, appending that name to the list. We are well familiar with the usage of \n. In this way, we will get one list of string that we will provide to the write lines method. It will write data to the file. So the first job to create a list of string, then pass it on to the write lines function. Alright, now we are moving ahead to the important topic, how to read data from the file. Once we have written data to the file, we are not opening the file and checking the data. We will be writing program for reading the file. For that we have three different options. The first is read function. It reads the whole file but in the form of string. Using readLine function we can read a single line, that too in the form of string. But readLines function reads the whole file in the form of list. Please make a note of it. Alright, let's go through all these functions. The first is read. Look at the syntax. Here is one optional parameter n. It is number of bytes. Number of bytes are nothing but number of characters. If you want to read specified number of characters, you can provide it there. Look at the example. We have written 3 means only 3 characters will get read. For reading, we will be opening the file in the R mode. Read function will extract the data from the file. That's why we will be storing it in a variable and then we will printing it. This parameter is optional. If we don't provide, what will happen? In that case, whole content of the file will get read. The content will be in the form of string. Here is the next function to read data, that is read line. It will read one line from the file. Look at the syntax. It doesn't take any parameter. When readLine function reads whole line, it will end it with \n. \n is nothing but a new line character. That's why we are getting one empty line after reading each line. So this problem we need to rectify. For that we will be using end parameter and we will suppress that \n. So here is the empty string. We are not giving any space in between. We know that there will be thousands of lines in the file. In that case, we are not going to write 1000 readLine functions. For that, we will enclose that readLine in a loop. So this is one way of writing loop, but this is quite complicated. For that, we will be writing this loop. Look at this code. Even without using readLine function, we are reading the whole content of the file. How this is so? With open function, we are creating one file object. File object will point to the file and it will go through the content of the file line by line. It means ultimately the task of reading the line will be done by the pointer. So if we iterate over the pointer, also we are getting one line. That's why without using readLine function also we can read whole content of the file. Hope this is clear to you. Then let's move ahead. Here is the third function for reading the content of the file. It reads all the lines but in the form of list of strings. Look at the output. This type of output you will be getting if you will print whole content of the file using write lines function. In case of list, this \n will not get interpreted as a new line. That's why it will print as a character at the end of every element of the list. Readline function also doesn't take any parameter. In this way, we understood all three functions. There is one more operation, that is appending data to the file. Already file is created with some data. If you want to add some more data to the file, then we will be appending data to the file. For that we will be doing the process of write only. There is only one change we need to keep in mind. Mode will be A, not W. If you open the same file in the W mode, the data will get erased. That's why we don't open already existing file in the W mode. We should open that file in A mode to append data to the existing file. Otherwise the code will be same of writing data to the file. What are binary files? Binary files are the data files which stores data in the form of bytes. That's why no translation is needed. As there is no need to translate data, it is faster than the text file. It's very difficult for the human to read the bytes. That's why it is not in the human readable form. So we need one special tool to read it. In the text file, we understood that every line will end with the \n. It's a end of line character. But in binary file, there is no such delimiter for a line. It means our data will get converted to bytes and that bytes will get stored in a binary file. With the concept of translating or converting data into bytes to store in the binary file, there are two concepts. The first one is serialization and the second one is deserialization. We can also call serialization as pickling and deserialization as unpickling. But what is it? While storing, when we convert data to bytes, we need to maintain their structure. So when we will get that data, we will get the original structure. So this conversion of data to bytes and bytes to data has some specific name. The first term is pickling, which is nothing but converting the data to the byte stream. Here instead of calling data, we will call it as a object. Object is nothing but any data type like dictionary, tuple or list. Generally, we go ahead with list and dictionary because in case of tuple, again we cannot change the data or modify the data. That's why when we get question based on binary file, it will contain list or dictionary. So the process of pickling will happen at the time of writing data. And the reverse of it is deserialization, or we will say it as a unpickling. When we read data, byte stream again will get converted to the object. So let's summarize the process. While writing data into the binary file, data will get converted to the byte stream. And when we read it, that bytes again will convert back to the data what we have written to the binary file. So this process is nothing but writing, and this is reading process. We know when we do this process of writing and reading, we need some functions. That's why for binary file, we will be using pickle module. In pickle module, we have two functions. To write data, we have dump function, and to read data, we have load. These two functions are a part of the pickle module, so we need to import that module. Pickle module provides these two functions which does the task of pickling as well as unpickling. Alright, here are the different operations which we are gonna discuss in case of binary file. These 5 operations we have already discussed in case of text file. So you are familiar with these 5 operations. Along with that, 2 more operations we are gonna discuss: searching data in a file and updating data. The first 2 operations, that is opening the file and closing the file, will be same as text file. The only difference will be mode. In case of binary file, we use these modes: WB, RB and AB. In case of text file, we use W mode, R mode and A mode. Here we need to just append B, which indicates these modes are used for binary files. So look at the table of different modes. We are familiar with the working of these 3 modes. But what about the remaining 3? These are RB plus, WB plus and AB plus. Here it is written RB means it is a read mode. The file will open in the read mode, plus sign indicates that it will provide write operation too. It means for both read and write we can open the file at the same time. In the same way, WB plus mode works. The file will open in the write mode but it provides read operation too. And the last mode is AB plus mode. It means file will open in the append mode but provides read operation too. You will be confused what's the difference between these two modes if both are providing read and write operation. When we want to update the file, it means we have to open the file for reading purpose and write the data too. In that case, we will be using these type of modes. If we are writing RB plus, RB rule will get applied. It means what? If you are reading the file and file doesn't exist, it will give exception input output error. Then what about WB plus? When we want to write data to the file as well as read operation also you need to perform. In that case you can use this mode. Then in this case the rule of WB will get applied. If you are opening the file in the W mode, file must exist. Otherwise if it doesn't exist, file will get created. It will not give any error. And if you are opening the previously created file in the W mode, the data will get erased. When we want to write program to update data in a file, we need to use these modes. Alright, now let's try to understand how to write data to the binary file. For that we will be using dump function. This is the first parameter, object, and here is the second parameter. Object is nothing but a data type provided by the Python. Generally it will be list or dictionary. And we know what is file handle, which will get created with the open function. Look at one simple example. Here we are trying to write a simple list of numbers. The first step is to import pickle module. The second step is to create a binary file. For binary file we can use extension .bin or .dat. Look at the mode, we are using WB. In text file we need not use any module because the functions related to text file are built-in functions. Now let's write this list in the file using dump. This is the name of the object and here is the file pointer which is created with the open function. This is just a simple message to make sure our program got executed successfully. We know that we use file to store large amount of data, not a single list. In that case, you will be using loop. Look at the simple code. Here we are going to store data of students. Generally in the exam you will be getting question to write user defined function. That's why we are writing in the same way. If you want to practice all the operations of binary file, create one menu driven program. Okay, let's try to understand this code. We are writing data in the form of list to the file. You can even take dictionary. Here is the first step to import pickle module. In the second step, we are opening the file in WB mode. Now we need to enter records for many students. For that you can use loop. That you can do in two different ways, infinite loop using while loop or finite loop using for loop. Here we are designing for loop. For that we have taken number of students. Then this for loop will iterate for n number of times. We are taking roll number and name. In the form of list we are going to enter data to the file. That's why we are creating one list here. The first element is roll number and the second element is name. You can do one more change if you want. Store the list in one variable and that variable name you can specify here. To keep it simple, I am directly writing the object in the dump function. Alright, now if we need to read the data through the program, we need to understand the process. For that we will be using load function of the pickle module. There is only one parameter we need to pass, that is file handle. Data got returned to the file. Now we need to read that data from the binary file. Whatever object you will be writing in the file, that you will be getting. The load function will do the task of retrieving data from the binary file. That's why that data we will be loading in one variable. Look at the simple program of reading data from the file. In the test.bin we have written one list of numbers that we are trying to read. When we want to read binary file, we will be using RB mode. So here is the process. First we will be importing pickle module. Second step is to open the file in the RB mode. Now we will be using load function along with the file pointer. We have written list, that's why we will be getting list that we are printing on the screen. Look at the output. We got the same list. Make sure load function will read only one object at a time. If you are writing two different lists, you need to use two different load functions for that. So here is the code of reading data from the file. Let's execute and check the output. So here is the list which we have written to the file. We could read it. Okay, we understood with one load function we could read one object. Then what will happen to our student file where we have written records of 3 students? Then let's try to read our student file. Using load function we are loading the content of the file and storing it in a variable that we are printing. Let's execute and check the output. From the output it is clear that with one load function only we can read one object. That's why only one list is getting read. But we want all the records. Then what we can do? We cannot write many load functions for many lists in the file. As we ourselves enter the data, we know there are 3 records. But imagine you don't know how many records are there in the file and you want to read it. Then how to perform that task? Can we write infinite while loop to read? While true, the records will keep on loading and we are printing it. Will this work out? Let's execute and check the output. Look at the output carefully. We had 3 records, we got it. But after that we are getting exception end of file error. Ran out of input. We are telling through the program that you keep on loading the content of the file. So we had 3 records, it got loaded, but after 3rd record we don't have anything to load. That's why we are getting the exception. We know how to handle exceptions using try except block. Now look at the modified code. The statement which may result into exceptions, we write that in a try block. So whole infinite loop we are enclosing in a try block. It means the content will keep on loading until it has it. But what if we reach end of the file? In that case, exception will arise. And when the exception will arise, we will close the file. It means the content will get loaded and at the end of the file will get closed. It means we will not get any exception. In this way, we will be handling the exception in case of binary file. Let me demonstrate. Write try block and enclose while true loop in the try block. After that we will be writing the except block. In the except block we will close the file. Alright, let's execute once again. Now look at the output. We got all the records and there is no exception too. Okay, listen all of you. In this way also you can write try except block. Instead of enclosing whole while true in the try block, you can write this while loop outside. Then use the try block because load function is gonna fire exception. So you can enclose try except block within while true block. But remember this one change. How this while loop will terminate? Using break. Because we are inside the loop and using break only you can terminate that loop. So when you will get exception because of load function, after you reach at the end of file, you will come to the except block and in except block we are terminating the loop. So whichever way you feel comfortable, you can go ahead with it. Let me execute this program and show you the output. This also will work in the same way. In this way we understood how to write data to the file as well as read from the file. As I told you, generally we will consider list to write data to the file, but not necessarily. We can use dictionary too. For that, look at this code. We are writing dictionary to the file. Using infinite loop, we are taking roll number as well as name of the student. Now we need to create dictionary out of the input data and give it to dump function. How you will be creating the dictionary? We know that we write the dictionary name, inside square bracket we mention key, and using initialization we initialize the value to it. So in our dictionary there are 2 key value pair. The first is roll number which we are taking through input, and the second key value pair is nothing but name. These are the values which we will enter through keyboard. Then what about the key for this corresponding value? You can write yourself. This is roll number and here is nothing but name. In this way we need to create one dictionary which will get returned to the binary file. So look at these 2 initialization statements. We are creating key value pair and that dictionary name we are providing to the dump function. In this way you can write dictionary too. Create the dictionary and pass it to dump function. Here is the third operation, that appending data to the file. If already file exists, we will open that file in the AB mode to add data or to append data to the existing file. The process will be similar to write function. The only difference which we need to keep in mind is mode. The mode will be AB for appending data to the file. We cannot open already existed file in the write mode. Otherwise the data will get erased and overwritten. In the board exam, you will be getting 5 marks question based on binary file, in which you may get this searching of file or updating the file operation too. So let's understand how to search the data in the file. We will be opening the file in the read mode. If we have this file, we need to first read the content of the file. And while reading each record, we will be searching the desired record. If we find it, we will process it further or we will print it. If we don't find, we will accordingly print the message. Alright, we already have student.dat file. There are total 3 records. The first record is having 101 roll number, the second record is having 102, and there is one more record 103. Now let's try to find out the record based on the roll number. For that we will take roll number as input and we are passing that roll number to the user defined function. To search the record, first of all we need to read the file. For that we have opened the file in the read mode. Now we have to traverse all the records of the file. For that we are using infinite while loop. If we will infinitely keep on loading, we will get the exception end of file. That's why we have included the code in the try except block. Using load function, we are loading the content of the file in the variable named student. Load function will load only one object at a time. It means what? We got the first list. And look at the list. At the 0th index, we have roll number, and at the first index, we will be having name of the student. Now we need to compare the input roll number with the roll number from the record. That's why we are using conditional statement if student of 0 is equals to the past roll number. If they are equal means what? We got the student. And using f string, we are printing the details of the student. Here is the student of 0, it is nothing but roll number. And here is the student of 1, it means it is name. We will keep on loading the record one by one and we will keep on checking. When we will reach at the end of file, we will get the exception. Then we will go to the except block. It means what? We did not get that roll number for what we are searching. So only we are printing the message student record not found and we will close the file. This is one of the simplest code. You can do it in a other way too. In case you are storing the record in the form of nested list, there will be slight change in the code. Now let's execute the same program and check whether we are getting the correct output or not. Code is asking for the roll number to search. Let's write the first roll number 101. Look at the output. We got the message student found and here is the roll number and the corresponding name of that student. Let's execute and check for the last record too. This is also working fine. Now let's execute the same program for the roll number which doesn't exist in the file. Look at the output. We got the message student record not found. In this way you can search the record in the binary file. Make a note of one more thing. If we find the record, no need to traverse the next record. That's why we are writing break here. It will come out of the while loop. Feel free to modify this code according to your need. What we need to do here? First we need to search the required record. Then we need to edit it. And again we will update it. Again we will write back to the file. It means we will locate the record, make the changes and write back to the file. For locating the record, we need two functions. The first one is tell and the second one is seek. This works for text file too. What are the use of these functions? Let's try to understand. The first is tell function. Tell function tells the current position of the file pointer. When we open the file for write or read purpose, the file pointer will be at the beginning of the file. It means its location will be 0. When we write the record, this pointer will move further. Here is the syntax of the tell function. It doesn't take any parameter. Alright, let's track the file pointer movement. We have opened the file in the read mode and applying the tell function on the file pointer. After executing the program, you will get to know the file pointer is at the position 0. Look at the output. When we open the file in the read mode as well as in the write mode, the file pointer will be at the 0th position. Now let's use the load function and load the content of the file in one variable. And then again we are going to check the position of the file pointer. So let's execute and find out. Look at the output. Initially the file pointer is at the position 0, but after loading the content of the file, the position got updated to 28. It means tell function tells the position of the file pointer. So with the help of tell function, we can locate the position of the file pointer. Now there is one more function we are gonna use while updating the record in the binary file, that is seek function. Seek function changes the position of the file pointer. With the help of tell, we will get to know the current position, and with the help of seek, we can move it. Because we need to locate the record, then we need to edit it, and using seek, we will place it on the right place. Look at the syntax of the seek function. The first parameter is offset and the second parameter is mode. This is not the mode of the file. This is something different. Seek function also works on the file object. Here offset means number of bytes which we want to move, and mode indicates from which position you want to move, because in file we will have different positions. First, the beginning of the file. It is indicated by the number 0, which is the default value. Second, the current position where you are. It will indicated by the number 1. And there is one more position which is called as end of the file. When you will reach end of the file, the number 2 specifies it. In this, mode is optional. If you will not mention, the beginning of the file will get considered. You will understand functioning with these examples. In the first example, we did not mention mode. It means it is 0. 0 specifies the beginning of the file. We are at the 0th position. From 0th position, we have to move further 20 bytes. It means file pointer will move forward 20 bytes from the 0th location. If this number is positive, we will move forward. If this number is negative, we will move backward. Now tell me, what does it mean? In this mode number 1 specified the current location. Imagine you are here. From this position, you have to move 20 bytes further. If it is minus 20, you will come backward 20 bytes. Now let's consider one example with the mode 2. Mode 2 means we are at the end of the file. So you cannot move further, because if we are at the end of the file, there are no records in the forward direction. It means you will move in the backward direction only. That's why here -5 is mentioned. You will come back 5 bytes. Once again, we are considering the same file. Alright, now we need to perform the operation of update. What we are gonna do? We have record in the form of list. The first list contain roll number and name. In the same way, we have all the records. We will enter the roll number, and for the specified roll number, we are gonna change name. So first we will locate the record, we will modify it, and again we will write the record back to the file at the same location. Alright, then let's try to understand the code. Here is a user defined function. The first step is to import pickle module. In the second step, we are opening the file. Look at the mode. We are using RB plus mode. It means the file is getting open in the read mode. When we open the file in the read mode, the file pointer will be at the 0th location. We are using plus here. It means it will allow us to perform write operation, because updated record we have to write back to the file. That's why we have opened the file in the RB plus mode. Let's move ahead. We are entering the roll number. We are familiar with the try except block. Using infinite while loop, we are trying to load the content of the file. What we have done in the search, because first we need to search the record. Using tell function, we will get the current file position, which will be 0 in the beginning. And with the help of load function, we are loading the record. In our case, we have written the record in a separate list. It means it will load the first list. If we consider our data, this is nothing but the first record of our file. Now it's time to compare the entered roll number with the roll number from the record. So the roll number is at the index 0 and name is at the index 1. If it will get match, we need to update the name. For that we are taking the name and directly updating in the list, because we know we got this complete list in a variable named student. So student of 0 means roll number and student of 1 means name. It means whatever changes we want to do in the name, that we will input. Let's say we are changing the name and updating it to Aditya. So let's change it. You can see here the changes is done only in the list. Now this updated record we need to write back at the location 0. For that we need to move the pointer to this location. In that case, seek function will help us. We are passing the position to it and it will move to that location. It means again we reach to the location 0. We are doing this because when we loaded the first record, the pointer got updated to some other location. So with this we move back to the 0th location again. We know dump function is used to write the record to the file that we are using. In this way, we are printing the message record updated successfully. For keeping track of it, we are using one variable found, which is initially 0, and here we will update it to 1. Found status equals to 1 means the record got updated. If the required record found and updated, we need not proceed further. That's why we are breaking out from the loop. In this way, we will locate, edit and again write. This process will go on till end of the file. When we will reach to the end of the file, exception will fire. It means we will come to the except block. If we couldn't find the required roll number, that also we need to print. For that we are using this status. If it will remain 0, it means we couldn't find the entered roll number. If we couldn't find, it will not get updated to 1. It will remain 0 because it is initialized to 0 in the beginning itself. And finally, we will close the file. This program also you can modify according to your requirement. This is one of the simplest one. Now let me execute it and show you the output. Alright, let's enter the roll number to update. So roll number is 101. We need to enter new name. Let's modify the name Adi as Aditya. Look at the output. We are getting the expected output that record updated successfully. If you want to read the file, you can read it also. In the exam, we need to write only specified user-defined functions. Let's check directly the content of the file whether the name got updated or not. Look here, the name got updated. It means our program is getting executed properly. Let's execute it once again and check for the roll number which doesn't exist in the file. Let's enter 115. And here is the required output, roll number not found. There are different ways to write this program. Whichever you feel easy, you can go ahead with it. Let me demonstrate you one more thing before winding up this video. You can write the record in the form of nested list. It means it will be only one object. The records are getting written in the form of one object. The advantage of writing record in the form of nested list, many records will be in one object. When you will load the data using load function, with the use of only one load function, all the records will get loaded in the form of nested list. Then you can iterate over it and you can access the record and perform different operations on it. And you know how to access the elements of the nested list. You need to write two indices in that case. This is the 0th element. This is the first element. If you want to access this, you will be writing students of 0, 1. Then you can access this roll number. And to write the record in the form of nested list, take one list which will be empty in the beginning and use append function. Create one list of the input data and append it to the list. So it will be in the form of nested list. Alright, then let's understand what is CSV file. The full form is comma separated values file. Keep in mind because you may get question based on it. CSV file is a type of text file. That's why you can open it in any text editor. Even you can open it in Excel. And the file data will be in the readable format. Generally, file data will get stored in the form of rows and columns. Each row will be called as record and the column is called as fields. If we look at the file data in the text editor, the fields are separated by comma. That's why the default delimiter is comma. Because of that only the name is comma separated values. And the file data will look like this when you will open it in a Excel. The data which we are taking is getting separated by comma. It means we need some functionality to work with CSV file. For that we will be importing CSV module which provides functionality. To write data we have two functions, write row as well as write rows. For that we need one writer object too. And to read data we need reader object. Let's discuss this in detail. We all are familiar with these operations. The only difference will be the functions which are used for these operations. Alright, here is the first function, that is opening the file. We are gonna use open function to open the file. We are familiar with the first parameter, that is file name, and the second parameter, that is nothing but mode. We are gonna use text file mode, W, R and A. Here is one more parameter we need to discuss in case of CSV file, that is new line. We will come to know the importance of it in a while. The second operation, that is closing a file, is same as text file as well as binary file. Now it is time to discuss how to write data to the CSV file. For that we will be using two functions. The first is write row and the second one is write rows. Write row function writes one row of data, whereas write rows function will write multiple rows of data. For writing we need writer object. Now let's try to understand what is writer object. Using keyboard we will take the data which we want to write to the CSV file. That user data first we will provide to write row or write rows functions. These functions will take the data and will pass it to the writer object. Writer object will convert the data to the delimited data. Delimited data means fields will get separated by commas. And that formatted data then will get written onto the CSV file. For writing data to the file, we are gonna follow this process. In the first step, we will import CSV module. The next step is to open the file in the write mode. We will create the writer object as a third step. Using either write row or write rows function, we will take the data and will provide to the writer object. Finally, we will close the file. These two functions, that is write row as well as write rows, will work on the writer. That's why first we need to create that writer object. How to create it? This function is available in the CSV module. That's why we will write csv.writer and it takes the parameter of file pointer or file handle. Alright, now let's check out this function write row. It works with the writer object. So make sure to note down the syntax, writer object dot write row. And here we will be providing the row. It can be in the form of list or tuple. Look at this example. We are writing one list. One more function we have, that is write rows. It is used for writing multiple rows. It also works with the writer object. For multiple rows we can take the help of nested list. So here is the list of the students that we are writing. Now let's discuss one simple program to write one row to the CSV file. The first step is to import CSV module. The second step is to open the file in the W mode. In the third step, we are creating writer object. For that, we have used the writer function. Here is one list. Write row function will take that list and will hand over to the writer object to convert that data to delimited format. Finally, we will close the file. In this way, data will get returned to the CSV file. You can open the CSV file in the text editor like Notepad, or you can even open it in a Excel. Hope you understood the process of writing data to the CSV file. Let's execute this program and check the output. In this way, info.csv file got created. If you are using VS Code, here itself we can check the data. Look at the data. The fields are separated with comma. If you want to open the file in Excel, go to that folder. Let's check out the content of the file. Here it is. You can note down here the data got written to the file, but there are no headings. What is this 101 and what is this? Yes, we don't have any idea. It means there is no column header. If you want to give the column header, you need to write it using write row function. So here is the code for the same. First we will write the headers, then we will write the data. Let's execute this program and check the file content. You can note here we are getting permission denied error. Why this is so? Because file is open. Whenever file is open, it will be in the write protected mode. You cannot write any data to the file. So make sure file is closed. Now let's execute it once again. We are not getting any error. Let's check out the content of the file. Here it is, we got the header now and here is the data. You might have noticed you are getting one empty line here that we need to rectify. How? For that we will take help of this third parameter, new line. We have studied in a video where we discussed text file. Every line will get end with the \n. CSV file is also a text file. That's why here also every line will get with the \n. That's why we are getting one empty line here. But if we don't want that, what should we do? For that, whenever you will open the file in the write mode, use this third parameter with the empty quotes. It means what? We are suppressing that new line. Alright, we have added it. Don't give any space in between the quotes. Let's execute this file once again. Look at the records. There is no empty line now. So in case of CSV file, make sure you are writing this new line parameter in the open function. We know that we don't use file to store one record. We need to store large amount of data. In that case, what you will be doing? Use loop. These statements will be same. Importing CSV module, opening the file in the W mode, write new line parameter so that empty line will not get returned to the file. In the next statement, we are creating writer object and writing heading. Using loop, we are taking the input. With that, we will create one list and will give it to write row function. Write row function will take it to the writer object. Writer object will convert the data to the comma separated values and will write to the file. Now let's write one program using write rows function. Here we are taking one nested list, giving to the write rows function. Write rows function will give to the writer object. Alright, here is a nested list in which we have taken some names. Please note one more thing, that the extension for the CSV file will be .csv. So let's execute this program too. File might have got created. The name of the file is studentdata.csv. So let's check out. Look at the records of the file. There is no empty line because we have used new line parameter in the open function. Based on text file, you will be getting 3 marks question. Based on CSV file, you will be getting 4 marks question. And based on binary file, you will be getting 5 marks questions. In case of CSV file, we will be focusing only on these two operations, read and write. We understood how to write data to the CSV file. Now it's time to check out how to read it. For that, only one step we need to do. We need to create reader object. We understood the working of writer object. It will take the data from write row or write rows function. It will convert the data to delimited format and then write to the file. In the same way, we need to read data from the file. So that job of reading data from the file, reader will do. It will fetch the data from the file and it will give in the form of iterable. Then you can iterate over it one by one and process it further. So look at the diagram. You can understand this easily from the diagram. Reader object will take the data from the file. It will give us in the form of iterable. Then we can loop over it and we can process the data row by row. How to create reader object? It's very simple. CSV.reader, it takes file pointer. Here is the code. First we will import CSV module. Open the file in the read mode. In the third step, we are gonna create reader object. And reader function is available in CSV module. That's why we need to write csv.reader. We got the records from the file. Now with the for loop, we are iterating over the records and printing one by one. Finally, we will close it. Reading data from the CSV file is very simple. Let's execute this code and check the output. Look at the output. We got all the records from the file. Let me demonstrate you one more thing. If while writing you did not mention this new line parameter, then what will happen? We know we will get one empty line after every record. Let me execute and show you. Look at the file content. After every record, we are getting empty line. Now if we will read such file, what will happen? Look at the output. Here also we could see there is one empty list because empty line is interpreted as no records. It means it's an empty list. How to rectify this problem now? For that also you will be writing new line character while reading the file. So let's write it. If we execute, what output we will get? Let's check out. There is no difference. Then what's the solution? While reading the data, we need to tell this new line is \n. It's time to execute and check the output. You can notice we did not get empty list now. So please make a note of it. If you are writing new line parameter while writing data to the CSV file, write empty quotes. But if you are reading data from the CSV file with some empty lines, then you will be writing this new line character with \n. There is one more important function we need in case of CSV file, that is next. We know when we have written data to the file, we have written headers in the beginning. But I need to do processing on the actual record. That processing will get applied on the header too. For that purpose, I need to skip this header. For that only we need next function. What it will do? It will skip the first row. And the first row is header. It means our job is done. So look at the simple code. We are opening the file in the read mode. Here is the reader object. We will apply next function on the reader object. It means it will skip the first row and the file pointer will jump to the second row. Second row onwards we have actual data of the CSV file. Then you can process it further. Look at the output. When we are reading the file content, we are getting this header. We need to skip this. For that we will use next function. After creating reader object, we will apply next function on that reader itself. With this, the first row will get skipped. Now let's execute and check the output again. Now if we need to process these records further, we can do it easily. Actually, stack is a data structure. But what is data structure? Data structure is used to store data. Not only storing data, we can organize the data. It is just like cupboard in which we store the clothes. We not only store the clothes but we can arrange it. But what is the need of new data structure as we have list, tuple, set and dictionaries in Python? Then consider this example. According to the structure of the home, if we need different types of cupboards, in the same way in real life for different scenarios we need different type of storage. So different types of storage will have some advantages as well as some disadvantages too. And based on the requirement we choose it. So the task will be efficient. At least we understood that stack is used to store data. That's why it is called as data structure. It means what? Apart from list, tuple, set and dictionary, we need to study one more data type? No, we will be using these inbuilt data types itself by applying some restrictions on it. So let's understand what is that restriction. We generally use this term stack in real life too. A stack of book, a stack of coin, just like that. But what's the restriction and speciality we are gonna apply on that? It works in the last in first out approach. What does it mean? In the stack, the item will place one above another. So the last item which will go in will be the first item to come out. Consider this example, you have one box and in that you are going to put the tennis ball. So if you want to keep any tennis ball, where you will keep? On the top itself. And if you want to remove any ball, that also you will do from the top. So this is nothing but stack. Do you remember playing this game in your childhood? The ring which you will put last, that will be the first one to come out. So that is nothing but stack. We are already using stack in our real life. I hope from this diagram you understood that insertion and deletion takes place from top. Insertion means if you want to add something, that means it is insertion. And if you will take out something from that, that is nothing but deletion. In case of stack, for this operation we have special term. Insertion is nothing but push and deletion is called as pop. So here are the terminologies we will be using in case of stack. Push means insertion, adding the item. Pop means deleting the item or taking out the item. There is one more term, that is peek. Peek means checking which item is at the top. Generally we just display that item. There are two more terminologies. Here is overflow. Overflow means stack is already full and you are trying to insert something into it. You will understand it with this diagram. The can of popcorn is already full and you are trying to add some more to it. What will happen? It will overflow. Now what's the underflow? While you were concentrating on the movie, your friend ate everything. When you realize and trying to take out something from the can, it's already empty. You will not get any popcorn. It means what? It is underflow. The stack is already empty and you are trying to delete something from it. You are trying to pop some items from it. So this is the case of underflow. So theoretically, we understood what is stack. In this, we can insert the item from the top as well as take out the item from the top. Now, how to implement in the programming? For that, we will be taking one built-in data structure itself, that is nothing but list. Let's consider one list with some elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to represent it, you can represent like this. Even you can represent it in a horizontal way. Alright, here is the first operation. We have to add some element to the stack. You know it should get added at the top position. Top position means what? If we look horizontally, it will add as a last element. And in case of list, we know how to do it. We can use append function. Just like push, pop operation means deletion of the element will also happen from the top position. It means what? We need to delete the last item. For that, we have already function related to list, that is nothing but pop. It will delete the last item by default. In this way, easily we did push operation as well as pop. There is one more operation, that is nothing but peek. Peek means what? We have to just inspect or check the element which is at the top position. So these are the elements of the list. We need to find out which element is at the top position. So calculate the length of the stack, which is nothing but 5, and we will subtract 1 from it. It means we will get 4. So stack of 4 means the element which is at the last position. So this task is also done. Now how to display the stack? We are doing different operations on it, but after that we need to check what's the stack. For that we will display it. In case of stack, all the operations will be performed from top position. It means we have to display the items in the reverse direction. For that we can use reverse indexing, and we know how to reverse the list. Skipping the starting index, even skipping the ending index, as we have to consider whole list, and the step will be -1. It means we will be printing the elements in the reverse direction. Generally we need to perform these 4 operations. While pushing the item, we will check the condition of overflow, and while popping the item, we will check the condition of underflow. Now let's implement using program. Here is one empty list named stack. We need to add the item. We are performing push operation. It means what? We need to add the item to the list. And for that, we will be using append method of the list, which will add the item at the last. So we are passing the element and we are appending to the list. It's so simple, isn't it? Here we are pushing 3 elements. That's why we are calling the push function 3 times by passing different elements. Let's execute this program. Here is the output. We got the message that 10 got inserted, then 20 and then 30. If you want to check the stack, what we will be doing? We need to display it. In our case, first 10 got inserted to the stack, followed by 20 and then 30. Now we need to display the stack. The top element is nothing but 30. If we write vertically, this is how your stack will look like. This is the top position. We will be printing the element from the top. So here is the code to display. First we will check whether the length of stack is greater than 0. It means we should have the elements in the stack. If it is empty, how we are gonna display? For that we will check this condition. If elements are there, using reverse indexing, we will print the elements of the stack. Otherwise, we will print stack is empty. Alright, then here is the code to display. We are pushing 3 elements and displaying the stack. Let's execute and check the output. You can notice we are printing the elements from top to bottom. So 30 got printed first, then 20 and then 10. Hope you are getting the point. In this way, we push the item into the stack and display it. Now here is one more operation, that is nothing but pop. Pop means we need to delete the item from the stack. If we consider we have these 3 elements, we need to delete the element. That too, it will get deleted from the top position. Obviously, before we pop the item, first we will check there are elements or not. For that, the same condition we are gonna check if length is greater than 0. If yes, we will use the pop method of the list. It will ultimately delete the element which is at the top position. Otherwise, we will print the message stack is empty. This is the condition of actually overflow. You can also print overflow. We are already aware of the pop method of the list. It will return the deleted item. If you want to print, you can. We know it is stack. We cannot delete element from any other position. Alright then, let's execute. Check out the output. We push 3 elements 10, 20, 30. So here is the stack. After that, we are calling the pop function which will delete the item from the top. At the top position, we have 30. So it got deleted. And again by calling display function, we are checking the stack with the remaining elements. Now we will check peek operation. It is nothing but checking the element which is at the top position. We have stack with 2 elements now. If we draw horizontally, this is the last element. Again same condition we will be checking, because we should have the elements in the stack, then only we can perform different operations. For accessing the last element, again we are using reverse indexing. We know that last element will have the -1 index if we want to do the reverse indexing. So with that we can print the last element, otherwise we will print that stack is empty. By calling the function with the print statement, we are printing and checking the element which is at the top position. In real life also we perform these operations many times, especially in exam. We will peek in friend's paper to inspect what the friend is writing. It means what? Stack is already implemented in our real life. Anyhow, we use programming to solve real life problems. It's time to execute the program. 3 elements got pushed into the stack. So here is the final stack. We popped 1 element, so the remaining items are 20 and 10. And here is the output of peek operation. We are just inspecting which element is at the top position. It is nothing but 20. Hope you understood these 3 operations: push, pop and peek, and how to display the stack. Let's start with the definition of the computer network. Network means it's a collection of devices which are interconnected to each other. Why we interconnect them? To share resources as well as information. First is LAN, that is local area network. Second is WAN, wide area network. The third is PAN, personal area network. And the fourth is MAN, metropolitan area network. You may get question based on it, so let's revise it. When we connect the computers to each other, generally in an office or in a building, then it will be called as a local area network. So the area can be 1 kilometer to 10 kilometer. Obviously, the purpose is to share hardware as well as some data and information. It is within the small area, that's why it is secure and fast. The second one is metropolitan area network. It is nothing but related to city. It means when we connect the devices within the city, it will be MAN. City can be sometimes big, so we can consider up to 100 km of range. This can be the example: cable, broadband, internet service. Here is the third type of network, that is WAN. It has a global range and the internet is the example of WAN. So WAN is nothing but network of networks. Obviously it will have the higher speed. Moving ahead to the fourth one, that is PAN, personal area network. When we connect the devices to each other within our home, it is the example of PAN. You can connect it through Bluetooth, USB or Wi-Fi. The range we can say 10 to 15 meters. We may get 2 marks question based on this topic. Now we know types of network: LAN, MAN, WAN, PAN. Here is another important topic. Based on it also you may get 2 marks question. It is nothing but switching technique, which is used for transmitting data. There are 3 types of switching techniques: circuit switching, message switching and packet switching. Let's understand the first one, that is circuit switching. In this, physical connection will get established between sender and receiver, and that is obvious that data will get transmitted from sender to receiver, and telephone is the example of circuit switching. Here is the second switching technique, that is message switching. There is no physical connection between sender and receiver. In between we will have the switching office. So from sender, data will go to the switching office, and then from switching office it will go to the receiver. Alright, here is the third switching technique, that is packet switching. In this, the data will go to the network in the form of packets. Packets means it's a small pieces of information. Here it will follow some algorithm so that the data will reach to the receiver in a faster way, but taking the shorter route. Alright, now along with types of network, we know the switching techniques too. The first is circuit switching, in which we have direct connection between sender and receiver. The second one is message switching, and the third one is packet switching. We are passing data over the network, so we should measure it also. So here are some of the data communication technologies. Out of that, let's read some of them. Baud is a unit of measurement, and bandwidth is the amount of data transmitted. Alright, moving ahead to the third important topic, that is transmission media. This is used to connect two or more devices. We can connect the devices in two different ways. The first one is guided media, where we have direct physical connection, and the second one is unguided media. First of all, let's go through the guided media. There are three different guided media. The first one is twisted pair cable, second is coaxial cable, and third one is optical fibers. Let's go through it. First one is twisted pair cable. Look at the diagram. In this, two identical wires wrapped together in a double helix. This is how the internal structure of the cable will look like. There are some advantages and some disadvantages of this guided media. It is simple to install, easily gets connected, inexpensive, low weight and physically flexible. Then what are the disadvantages? It has low bandwidth, that's why the rate is low, and it cannot carry the signals over a long distance. There are two types of twisted pair cable. The first one is unshielded. It means it is not having any insulation. And the second one is shielded. It means it will have a shielding. Here is the second guided media, that is coaxial cable. Look at the diagram. It is consist of a copper conductor and a insulator and metal mesh around that. And this entire setup will be covered in a plastic layer. Then what are the advantages? Obviously, it will provide more bandwidth. That's why it is better than the previous one. It is generally used for cable network. It also has two types, thick net and thin net. And here are some of the disadvantages. It is expensive. We are at third and last guided media, that is optical fiber. In this, the data carries in the form of light. Look at the picture. It has core. It is made up of plastic or glass, and there is one cladding which will cover it. And then to protect it, we have protective covering. Here are some of the advantages and some of the disadvantages. For this type of cable, there is no effect of electrical as well as magnetic interference because data carries in the form of light. It is used in industrial environment because data is secure and it provides higher bandwidth. Here we use glass for passing the data, that's why it is fragile and expensive. So in this way, one more important topic we discussed, that is nothing but transmission media. There are two types, guided and unguided. In guided, we discuss three transmission media, that is nothing but twisted pair, coaxial cable and optical fiber. You may get question based on it. Now you know these topics, you can write it easily. Then what about unguided media? In this, there will be no direct cable between the devices. So for that we can use microwave. We are already familiar with this. We use this in smartphone, in satellite and wireless LAN. In that case, to pass the signal we use antenna which will be mounted on a tower. Here is second unguided media, that is radio wave. Generally it is used in television and FM radio. These are electromagnetic waves which will be in this range 3 kHz to 1 GHz. The third unguided media is satellite. We use this for different purpose, for weather forecasting, broadcasting and for mobile communication. In the satellite will be in the space and it will take the signals from the earth station. It will amplify and pass to another station. There are some more unguided media, infrared, laser and Bluetooth. Alright, let me take a pause and revise the three important topics that we discussed. The first is types of network. We discuss LAN, then we discuss WAN, the third one is MAN and the fourth one is nothing but PAN. Read definition as well as specialty, advantages, disadvantages. The second topic which we discuss is switching techniques. There are three switching techniques: circuit switching, message switching and packet switching. And here is the third topic, transmission media. In that we will be concentrating more on the guided one. So there are three different guided media. The first one is twisted pair cable, second one is coaxial cable and the third one is optical fiber. Make sure if you will get question on it, you will be able to write. Here is the fourth important topic, that is network topologies, which decides the pattern of connection of different devices in a network. There are many topologies but we will be concentrating on these three: star topology, bus topology and tree topology. In star topology there will be central hub and all the devices will get connected to that central hub by a single path. So this arrangement is called as star topology. What is hub? It's a network device in which we can connect many devices. We will discuss different network devices in a while. What are the advantages? It is easy to configure. In case one device is not working, we can remove it from the network. It will not affect the whole network. As there is a central hub, we have centralized control. And because of that only the protocols are simple. Do we have disadvantages? Yes, we need long cable, because we need to connect all the devices to the central hub. It is difficult to expand and whole network depends on the central node. Alright, let's move ahead to the second topology. It is bus topology. Here we will have a single length transmission medium. The data will get transmitted in the form of packets. Generally, it is used in LAN. What are the advantages then? LAN has a simple architecture. It is easy to extend and the cable length also will be short. It's time to discuss the disadvantages. If there is a fault, it is difficult to detect it. Proceeding to the third topology, that is tree. It is a combination of bus and star. Look at the diagram. This is nothing but star topology and here it is bus topology. Here we have single transmission line. That's why the transmission will take place as a bus topology. Read the advantages. It is flexible and scalable and uses point-to-point wiring. Then what is the disadvantages? If the central line breaks, entire network will shut down. And this type of topology is difficult to configure. Alright, we understood what are the different topologies we need to study. The first is star topology, the second is bus topology and the third one is tree topology. In star topology, all the devices will get connected directly to hub. Whereas in bus topology, we have centralized transmission line, and tree topology is a combination of star topology and bus topology. Hope you will remember this topic. There are many devices in the network. How to find out your own? For that we can use IP address or MAC address. IP address is a logical address, whereas MAC address is a physical address which will be on the NIC card. NIC means Network Interface Card. On that card you will have one unique address like this. It's time to proceed to the next important topic, that is network devices. There are lot of network devices with the help of which we connect different devices in a network. So here is a list of different network devices. The first one is modem. The full form is modulator and demodulator. This is used generally in case of telephone lines. Let's check out what is modulation and demodulation process. Center computer will send the signals to the modem. Modem does the process of modulation. Modulation means the digital signals are getting converted to analog one. Then that analog signals will get converted to digital one. That process is called as demodulation. Both the operations will be performed by modem. And then finally receiver will get that digital signals. Hope you will keep in mind this process. RJ45, I don't think it is important. Let's proceed. The second one is network interface card. This also we will skip. We have one more device, that is Ethernet card. It is a type of NIC card. This device is important, that is nothing but hub. The device will look like this, which will have the multiple ports so that you can connect multiple devices to it. One more point we will note down about hub, that it will broadcast the message to all the nodes of the network. Here is the improved version of hub, that is switch. This is also device where we can connect multiple devices. Switch will not broadcast the message to all the ports. It will use packet switching, and with the help of MAC address, it will send that package to the destination port. Then one more network device we have, that is repeater. It will amplify the signal so that the transmission can be extended to long distance. Here is one more network device. It is used to connect two different networks to each other. Just like bridge, we have routers too. But the specialty of router is it can handle different protocols. We will study protocols in a while. Bridge uses MAC address, whereas router uses IP address. If you want to connect two different types of network, we can use gateway too. Let me take a pause. We studied different topologies. Along with that, we got to know how to identify our system over the network using IP address or MAC address. Then we revised different network devices. Now we will be studying what is protocol. The simple meaning of protocol is nothing but the rules. Here are the common protocols we will be using: HTTP, FTP, TCP/IP, SLIP and PPP. And here is a list of protocols which we will be using while sending and receiving mail. Keep the full form of the protocol in mind. Generally you will be getting question based on it to expand it. So the full form of HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And if we will write as, it's the secure version of Hypertext Transfer Protocol. The second one is FTP, File Transfer Protocol. It is used for exchanging file across internet. So here are some of the objective of FTP. The next protocol is Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol. Out of this, TCP part provides the delivery of messages, and IP part will take care of the data to be sent. For that, it will use IP addresses. Moving ahead to the fourth one, SLIP, Serial Line Internet Protocol, and PPP is point-to-point protocol. SLIP is used in case of dial-up lines, whereas PPP is used over serial line. Both will deliver the IP packets. SLIP is the earlier version and the advanced version is PPP. Alright, here is a list of the protocols which we will be using while sending and receiving mail. The first one is Internet Message Access Protocol. The second one is POP3, Post Office Protocol 3. It will allow the user to download the messages. The third one is SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Keep this in mind, it is used to send mail. And the last is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. The job of this protocol is to compose and retrieve mail. If you want to send the mail, you will be using SMTP. If you want to download, you will be using POP3. Hey all of you, look at the list of the wireless computing technologies. We are all familiar with this. There is one more important protocol we need to keep in mind, that is VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. With the help of that, you can communicate over the network in the form of voice. So look at the question. This type of question you will be getting in the exam where you need to expand these protocols. Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, Voice over Internet Protocol. Okay, listen, here are the some of the internetworking terminologies. Out of those, some we are going to discuss. Telnet, the full form is Teletype Network. It lets you to log into the remote computer system. What is browser? You have an idea. You know web server too. Sometimes you may get question to give the example of the browser. Give any of your choice. What is web page? It's a document. What is website? It's a collection of web pages. URL is nothing but Uniform Resource Locator. It's a unique address of the website, or we can say any resource. In this URL we have three parts. First is protocol, second is domain name, and the last one is path. This is the description of domain name. Let's discuss this topic because we have got the question based on it. Difference between XML and HTML. The first is HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. It is used to design web pages. Then what is XML? Extensible Markup Language. The specialty of this language is you can design your own tags. HTML is related to only display data, that's why it's static, whereas in case of XML you are carrying information, that's why it is dynamic. In HTML you cannot create your own tags, we need to use the predefined one, but in XML you can create your own tags. Here is one more type of HTML, that is dynamic HTML. This is used for web development, which includes HTML, CSS and JavaScript. There is one more term, that is web scripting. When we involve script while designing web page, it is called as web scripting. And what is this script? Script is nothing but list of commands. It is just like programming language but not the complete programming language. And JavaScript is the most used scripting language. There are two types of scripting, client side and the server side. Client side means it is at the user's computer. So the script will execute at the client's end. It is browser dependent. Services are secure. Client side scriptings do not have the access to the files and databases because it will be at the server. And here are some of the examples of client side scripting. Then what about server side? In this, the script will executed at the server end and the result will be displayed at the client end. It is browser independent. You can use any browser. This script will have the access to the files and databases because it is at the server side. For server side scripting, PHP is generally used. Here are some of the topics related to network security concept: authorization, authentication, biometric system and firewall. So let's wind up this chapter. Here are the important topics that we have discussed. In this first we discuss network types. It is LAN, WAN, MAN, PAN. Followed by the switching techniques. 3 switching techniques we discuss: circuit, message and packet switching. After that we discuss some of the data communication terminologies like baud, bandwidth, etc. Followed by the next important topic, that is transmission media. It is divided into 2 categories, guided and unguided. In guided transmission media, we have gone through 3 types: twisted pair cable, coaxial cable and optical fiber. The next topic we studied, that is nothing but topologies. 3 topologies are important: star, bus and tree. After that we understood what is IP address and MAC address. Followed the discussion with the network devices. There are lot of network devices. The important one is hub, switch, repeater, modem, etc. And finally we discuss some protocols. They are nothing but HTTP, FTP, TCP/IP, SLEEP and PPP. Apart from that we discuss some of the protocols for mail like POP and SMTP. One more protocol we will keep in mind, that is nothing but VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. We even discuss some of the internetworking terms. Hope this revision will be helpful to you. Alright then, let's get started. We understood when we want to store data permanently, we use file. But file is not efficient. We cannot perform many operations on it. Then for that we will be using database. Then what's the database? It is also used to store data together. With database, we can organize the data efficiently and we can protect it also. We understood what is database. Database is nothing but collection of data. Then what is database management system? It is a software. With the help of that software, we will be storing our data. And here are some of the example. In this, we will be studying this software, MySQL. There is one more term, that is Relational Database Management System. In short, we call it as a RDBMS. We know database management system is nothing but software. Then what is relational database management system? In this software, the data will be stored in the form of tables. So relation is nothing but table. Look at the simple table items in which we are storing the details of the item. We have column, item number, item name and price. Column is also called as field, but we will keep this word in mind for column. It is nothing but attribute. So all these 3 terms means the same. Regarding that only there is one more term, that is nothing but degree. Degree is number of columns. In this table there are total 3 columns, that's why degree is 3. Now let's check out the different terms for the row. We can call it as a row or even we can call it as a record. And here is the term for the row or record. It is nothing but tuple. As we are discussing about row, one more term we should keep in mind, that is cardinality. Cardinality is nothing but number of rows. So relate this car word with the row. Look at the table, there are total 3 rows, that's why cardinality is 3. So make a note of it. You may get question in the board exam where you will be given one table and you need to find out the degree and the cardinality of the table. Cardinality is number of rows and degree is number of columns. Then what's the meaning of this term domain? Domain is nothing but set of data or set of values which are allowed to be written into that column. Look at this column, item name. Here only string values can be written. We cannot write here numbers. So what are the permissible value? String values for this column. In the same way, for price we will have float or integer. If we consider item number, we will have integer, or if you want to allow string values like this, that is also fine. In this way, we studied what is tuple, what is attribute, what is domain, degree and cardinality. Keep these 5 terms in mind. When we store data in table, this is also one of the important concept. It is nothing but key. Key will be one or more attribute. We know attribute means column. What is the use of key? To uniquely identify a record. Consider this table. This is the data of a student. If you want the data of a particular student, then roll number will work as a primary key. With the help of roll number, we can access this whole record because generally roll number will be unique. This may happen in some tables that one column is not sufficient. Then we can take the combination of 2 columns to become a key. In that case, we call it as a composite key. There are some more types of key. It is called as candidate key and the alternate key. For every table, we design primary key. The key which are eligible to become a primary key is called as candidate key. Then what is the alternate key? Let's imagine there are 2-3 candidates key which can be primary key, but one of them become the primary key. Then the remaining will be called as the alternate key, which couldn't be the primary key. You can easily understand this concept with simple example. Imagine there is an election in college for some student union. There are 3 candidates which are eligible to become a union leader. But out of that, only one will become the union leader. The rest of the students will not. But all 3 students were the candidates for the election. It means it is a candidate key. But one of them only became the union leader. Now out of that 3, 2 and 3 students will be called as alternate key. Hope you understood this concept. Sometimes it is not worth storing the data in one table. In that case, we need more than one table. Consider this example. We are storing students' personal data in one table and academics data in another table. If you want to extract data from both the table, there should be relation between them. To maintain the relationship only, we use foreign key. What exactly we do? We maintain one common column in both the table. In this way, we got the general idea what is relation. It is nothing but table. What is row, what is column and what are the different types of keys. Now let's study one of the relational database management system. It is developed by Michael Widenius and My is the name of his daughter. Even in this logo, dolphin has name, Sakila. Quite interesting. Alright, now the data is stored in the database. That data we need to organize. For that we need to give the instructions. We know to give the instruction we should know the common language to communicate. So this language is nothing but structure query language. And that structure query language is divided into 3 categories: DDL, DML and TCL. DDL means data definition language. For manipulation we will be using DML, and here are some transaction control language. We will be focusing more on these 2. Alright, out of DDL we have to study these 3 commands: create, alter, drop. Let's remember these 3 commands are DDL commands because we generally get question on it. So if you get the question what are the DDL commands, we can write it: create, alter, drop. And here are 3 DML commands we need to keep in mind: update, insert, delete. For that also let's create one mnemonic, UID. In this way we can keep in mind DML commands too: update, insert and delete. There are 3 TCL commands too, but we are not concentrating much on it. According to your portion, this is not important. If we need, we will get into it. Alright, when we create any table while storing data, we can apply some rules on it. That rules are nothing but constraints. We can apply rules on specific column as well as on whole table. Here are the 5 types of constant: unique, primary key, default, check constant and foreign key constant. Let's try to understand the first constant. With that constant, we make sure that no two rows will have the same value. Look at this table. This is also 0, 3 and here is also 0, 3. So this is not applicable. Moving ahead to the most important constraint, that is primary key constraint. If we apply primary key constraint on any column, it means what? It will not allow duplicates as well as it will not allow null values. Null means you cannot keep that column entry as empty, and duplicates means two columns should not have the same entry. Before proceeding, let's understand the difference between primary key constraint and unique key constraint. Primary key constraint doesn't allow null as well as it doesn't allow duplicates, and only one primary key should be there in a table. Whereas in case of unique key constraint, it allows null values but it doesn't allow duplicates. And there can be more than unique key constraint in the table. This question is also important. Make sure you know the difference. Moving ahead to the third, that is default constraint. The way we have default parameter in the function, same way it works. If you don't provide any value for the column, default value will get considered. The fourth constraint is check constraint. If you want to insert data into the table based on some criteria, then we can apply the check constraint. Look at this table. On the age column, we are applying check constraint. If the data satisfies this condition, then only you can insert the data into the table, otherwise not. And the last constraint is foreign key constraint. We know it is used to create the relationship between two tables. So here is the common column for that. To create this relationship in this table, we will apply the foreign key constant. This employee ID refers the employee ID of the EMP table. Alright, we understood what things we need to keep in mind while creating the table. But now we should learn actual commands. So now we will be revising some commands which are applicable on databases as well as on tables. Now you will get confused what is the meaning of database and what is table. Database is a set of tables and table is a combination of row and column. First we need to create one database, and inside that we can create as many tables as we want. Let's consider this simple command, show databases. With that we will get the list of databases you have created. But how to create database? For that, this is the command, create database, and you will provide the database name. Look at this example, create database student. When you will show, you can see here student database got created. It's empty. I would suggest you to write the commands on the paper and practice. We created one database named student. But before creating the tables inside it, for that you should use this command. By using this command, you are actually entering into the database. So first you need to create database and then use it. If you know how to create it, you should also know how to delete it. For deleting the database, we have drop database command. Drop database and name of the database. In this way, database will get deleted. Alright then, database got created. Now it's time to create table. For creating the table, first we should know what are the data types available in MySQL to be applied on the column. Because while storing the data, we should know what type of data we are going to store in that column. For storing string type, there are two types of data, char and varchar. For integer value, we can use integer. For decimal, we have decimal. For date, we have date data type. And for time, we have time. For storing string data type, we have two types. Then what's the difference between them? Character data type is of fixed length. It provides 0 to 255 range. Whereas varchar is of variable length, and here is the limit for it. When we want to store values of same length, generally we go with character. But if it is of variable length, then we can use varchar. It will be easy with this simple example. Suppose there are two different columns which are storing city. Here we have mentioned character data type, and for this we have taken as varchar. Look at the values. These are also same. The column with the char will use always fixed length. It means it will occupy the 15 bytes of storage. Even if you are storing the string of shorter length. But what about varchar? Though the size we have mentioned as 15, it will occupy the length of the string. In some version, it may take 1 or 2 bytes for storing the length too. So here is the difference between char and varchar data type. Alright, now it's time to create table. So here is the query. Create table, table name. We need to specify the column name as well as its type. So here is the detail of the first column followed by second and so on. While writing the details of the column, first we need to write the column name followed by the data type. In case of constant, that also we will be mentioning here. Let's take one simple example. We are creating one student personal detail table. The first column is roll number, the second is name and the third one is date of birth. We have applied primary key constant on the first column. We can also write not null if you don't want to enter any null value to it. And the third is of date type. The roll number is of integer data type. For name we have used varchar 15. It means we can store a string of 15 character, that is the maximum limit. And DOB is of date data type. In this way the table will get created. We studied these 5 types of constraint that we can apply. Here we are applying check constraint. Here it is default constraint. Here is one example of applying table constraint. We know we can apply table constraint as well as column constraint. Alright, now the table is created. If you want to know the details of the table, here is the command desc table name or describe table name. With this you will get the details of all the columns and its data type. Not only that, you will get the details of the constraint. We have show databases command to get the list of databases. In this way we have show tables command. With the help of that you will be getting a list of tables in that particular database. And with the drop table command you can delete the table. With the insert command we created the table, but that table will be empty. Now we need to insert the records into it. For that we will be using insert command. So these 3 DML commands, that is insert, update and delete, we are gonna discuss. From the category of DDL command we already discussed create and drop. But the discussion of alter command is remaining, that also we will do. So look at the syntax of insert command. Insert into table name. We need to mention the list of the columns name that you have created while creating the table. It should be exactly same, but this is nothing but optional. If you are inserting data in all the columns, no need to mention it. Alright, insert into table name. Then we need to write this keyword values, and exact values we will be providing in the same sequence of the column name. So the first column is roll number, so we have mentioned roll number. The second is name, so here is the value for the name, and the third is date of birth. Make a note of it. Date of birth and time is considered as a string value. So insert into student personal detail values, and here are the data for all 3 columns. If you don't want to insert data in all the columns, then only the column list you will be mentioning. The null will get inserted into the column for which you will not provide the value. Alright, here is update command. What is the use of it? To modify the existing record. Let's consider this table. For the student roll number 103, null got inserted, that we need to update. So look at the query. Update the name of the table, set date of birth equals to the date of birth what we need to enter, and here is the condition with where clause. Now you will easily understand the syntax. Update table name, set column name. This column name you will have to mention from the table, and what the value you want to set, that you will be writing here along with where condition. Otherwise it will update all the date of birth. So if required, write the condition. If you want to update more than one column, you can do it by separating it with comma. If you will not write condition with the where clause, the updation will happen in all the columns. Now let's consider the third command from the DML category. We studied how to update, how to insert. Now we have to understand how to delete the record from the table. Look at the syntax. Delete from table name, and here is the condition. If you will not write condition, all the records will get deleted and the table will be empty. Delete from student personal. Whereas with condition, the specified row will get deleted. We finish all the commands from the DML, that is U, I and D. and here are the commands of DDL category C, A and D. We discuss create, we discuss drop. Now it's time to discuss alter table command. Generally with the DML command we can change in the record, but with DDL command we can change the structure. This is very versatile. We can use it to add the column, to modify the column, to change the column name or to drop the column. Let's try to understand in short. With the add clause, what we can do? We can add the column to the existing table. In our student personal table, we are adding one more column, mobile number. So here it will be alter table, the name of the table, add mobile number. We need to mention the data type. If there is some constant, that also we have to mention. There is one more clause we can use with the alter table command, that is modify, to modify the existing column. Here is the syntax: alter table, table name, modify column name, and we are providing new data type. We added one column to the table. The name of the column was mobile number, but the data type was integer, that we are modifying here. We are giving the data type varchar 10. In the previous query, we only changed the data type, but if you want to change the complete definition with the name, then you can use change clause. So here is the change clause: old name, then new name and column definition. Look at the query. What we are doing? We are changing this MOBNO column name to mobile number, and here is the data type. So the query will be alter table student personal, change mobile number, old name, new name along with its data type. There is one more clause we can use with the alter table, that is nothing but drop, to delete the complete column. So alter table, table name, drop column name. If you have some constant, that also we can mention. Look at the query: alter table student personal, drop mobile number. The column will get deleted. Alright, we created the table, we inserted data into it, but the important operation is nothing but to display the data. For that we will be using select command. It is very versatile and all-rounder. There are lot of options associated with it. So look at the query: select column name, column 2 from table name. You can even give the condition. Here we are displaying only one column, and here we are displaying two columns. If you want to change the order, accordingly you will be mentioning here. We understood how to display one column and more than one column, but if you want to display all the column, write asterisk. This star means we need all the columns. Look at the table, we got all the columns from the employee table. There is one more clause you can apply here in front of the column name, that is distinct. It will not give us the duplicate values. So look at the cities, there are some duplicate values, but look at the distinct cities, we got only unique values. Now let's understand how to write the where clause. This is very important if you want the selected data. For writing condition with the where clause, we can use these relational operators. These four operators are same, only make a note of it of equal to and not equal to symbol. So let's try one. We want all the columns, but for city Bangalore. So we are writing select star from table name where city equals to Bangalore. Look at the record, only those records got displayed whose city is Bangalore. Along with relational operators, we can also use logical operators. We know what is the use of logical operators: to combine two or more relational expressions. Here also we can combine two or more conditions. Let's take an example. We need to display all the records of the employee, but here is the condition: city should be Bangalore or Nagpur. So look at the output here. We have only those records having city as Bangalore or Nagpur. OR operator can be written as two vertical bars. The way you have used OR, you can use AND also. In this, both the conditions should get satisfied, then only that record will get displayed. And here is the third logical operator, NOT. It will negate it. City should not be Nagpur. So look at the records. There are some more operators which we can use with the select command. One of them is between. It is used for giving the range between this value and this value. So look at one simple query. We need to display the records of the employee where employee ID is between 101 to 104. So we need to write between and AND operator together. It creates the range. The reverse of it is not between. It will negate the value. There is one more operator in. In operator will check the values which is provided in the list of the values. If it is present, then only we will get that record. So look at one simple example where city in, it is mentioned in the form of list. So if it is in the list, then only we will get it. The reverse of in is not in. So we studied two operators. One is between, the second one is in. There is one more operator like for pattern matching. If you want to display the records based on some pattern, for that there are two more operators which we will be using with like operator. First is %, which matches one or more character, and the second one is underscore. It matches only single character. So look at some example. JA% means it will display all those names which are starting with JA. The remaining characters can be anything. You can use this operator more than once. Whereas in case of underscore, it will match only one character. If it is mentioned T-A, it means only we will get this type of string. Only one character it will get matched. Wherever you want and how many you want, you can apply these operators. Here is the syntax where column name like pattern. So for designing pattern, use % or underscore. Let's consider one example. We want to print the employee names which are starting with Y. So Y%. Look at the output. This select command is very powerful and used in a different way. Even if you want to perform some calculation without the use of table, you can do it. Look at this example. Select 2 plus 3. We got the answer as 5. Here we did not use any table. But still, if you want to use the table, you can make use of dual table. Dual table is a dummy table with one row and one column. Look at the syntax. Select expression from dual. Same query we are writing with the use of dual table. Please make a note of it. In this, we couldn't give any column header. Whatever expression we are mentioning, that will be the column header. But if you want to give the column header, that you can give with the as keyword. It will give alias to the column header. Look at the example. We mentioned as pi. So column header is nothing but pi. We understood how to perform the calculation, but you can perform the calculation on the column. Look at this example. We want to give the bonus, so we are multiplying the salary with some quantity. We wrote the expression, and if you want to give the column header, make use of as clause. Apart from the column header and the values for the column, you can add the text too. Here is the example. This is the column with some values, but we have added one column with some text that you can add here by writing as a column header. Now proceeding to the next topic and explore some more clause which can be used with select command. If we have null values in the table, that we can print using is null clause with the where clause. Look at the query. Select star from employee where city is null. So we got those records with the city as null value, with the help of which you will come to know which columns are not having exact data. You have is null, in the same way you have is not null. Look at the data of this table. We got those records which are not having city as null values. Now let's try to understand how to arrange the records of the table. We know we can arrange in the ascending order as well as descending order. For that we are using order by clause. By default it will get ordered in the ascending order. If you want to order in the descending, we will be writing DESC. Look at the simple example. Select star from employee, order by e-name. When you will look at the e-name column, this is arranged in the alphabetical order. In the same way, just add DESC clause so that the data will get arranged in the descending order. It is in the descending order of employee ID. So 8 got displayed first, then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Based on condition also you can arrange the data. There are some built-in functions which can be used with the select command. String functions, numeric functions and date and time functions. So here is a list of commonly used string functions: concatenate, lower, upper, substring, trim and length. Go through the explanation, you will understand it easily. Here are some of the example. We are using concatenate function on this. So look at the output. It got concatenated. If you want to apply this string function on any column, you can do it. And here is a list of some of the numeric functions. The functions related to date and time is also very important. So here is a list of the functions. I will suggest you to make a note of it. We discussed different operators, clause and functions associated with the select command. Now let's discuss how to use these aggregate functions. It will get applied on a multiple rows, but it will give a single value. The first function is average, then we have count, max, mean and sum. When we apply aggregate function on any column, there are two more clauses. First is distinct and the second one is all. Distinct will not consider duplicate values, whereas all will consider all the values. So here are two examples. By default it will consider all. If you will write distinct, it will not consider duplicate values. In the same way, one more aggregate function is count. This is very important. It will count the number of rows in a given column. Count function can be used in three different ways: count star, count expression and count distinct expression. Count star means we have to consider everything: null values, not null values, even duplicate values. If we write count and then column name or expression, it will not consider null but it will consider duplicates. And if you will use distinct with the expression, it means it will remove the duplicates also. So if we are writing count star, it will consider everything. It means it will consider null, it will consider duplicates. Here is second variation of count, count expression. Look at the example. We are applying count on city. We got the output as 7 because in this case the null entries are not considered. And here is the third variation. We are counting the city with distinct clause. So it will not consider the null as well as it will not consider the duplicate values. That's why the output is 5. To calculate maximum value, we have max function, and to calculate minimum value, we have min function. In this way, to calculate sum, we have sum function. There is one more important clause, that is group by. If you want to group the records based on some criteria, like if you want to consider the group of people based on city, then you can do it. Generally, it is used with aggregate functions. So here is the syntax. We will group by based on certain column. So let's consider this table. We are counting the number of people based on city. So look at the output. Bangalore has 2, Pune has 2, and similarly we are getting the data for the remaining city. If you want to group it on another column, that is up to you. So make sure you are grouping with the aggregate functions. When you are grouping the records, you can have condition with the having clause. Look at this example. We are counting the number of people grouped by salary, but the condition is salary should be greater than 25,000. So we need to count only those people based on the salary whose salary is greater than 25. Look at the data. The salary is greater than or equal to 25, and such people we are counting. Now we are at the last topic of MySQL, but this is also important, that is the join. It is used when we want to retrieve the data from two or more tables. So how the data will get retrieved will based on the types of the join. So here are three types of join: inner join, outer join and cross join. Outer join again divided into two categories: left join and the right join. Apart from this, we have three more joins: equi-join, non-equi-join and natural join. So let's try to revise it in short. First, let's check out what is cross join. Cross join will do the Cartesian product of two or more tables. Hope you know what is Cartesian product. It means it will take all the rows present in the first table multiplied by the rows in the second table. This is how you will be writing. Select column names from table 1, cross join table 2. You will easily understand with this simple example. Let's consider one table A with 3 values 1, 2, 3, and there is one more table B with these 2 values. Now if we do the cross join between these two tables, what are the values you will be getting? First value will get associated with the second value from the second table, and the first value from the first table will get associated with the second value from the second table. In this way for the second value too. Same approach will be followed for the third value. Table A has 3 entries and table B has 2 entries. It means there will be total 6 entries. Look at the output. If we take our table student personal and student academics, after applying the cross join, here is the output. We will get all the rows from both the tables. Cross join is a default join. If you don't write also, it will be cross join. The next is the inner join. It will give only the matching values from both the tables. So from this diagram you will easily understand. How to write it? Select column names from table 1, inner join table 2, and we will be writing on clause followed by the name of the columns which we need to match. We know there are 2 tables. If you need to extract data from both the table, there should be one common column. We have roll number as a common column. Now look at the query. Select star from student personal, inner join student academics on. This is the common column name we need to write. Student personal dot roll number equals to student academics dot roll number. And look at the data. Only common data we are getting. In this we have common data with the roll number 101 and 102. You can see here we have these roll numbers in the next table also. Hope you understood. Cross join will give the Cartesian product, whereas inner join will give only matching data. Now let's check out what's the outer join will retrieve. There are two types, left outer join and right outer join. To understand this, let's consider this is the left table and here is the right table. In case of left join, all the records will be considered from the left table and only matching records will be considered from the right table. That's why the name is left, because it will take all the records. This is the way you will write. Select column names from table 1, left join table 2 on, and here is the common column. To understand, we are considering the same table. Look at this diagram. All the records from the left table will get considered and only the matching one from the right. Here is the query. Select star from student personal, left join student academics on student personal roll number equals to student academics number. Now look at the records and only the matching record will get considered. So here are the columns from the second table. Admission number, roll number, subject 1, subject 2 and subject 3. For these two records we had values, that's why we got it. But what if you don't have the values for that matching record in the second table? Then null will be returned. You might have noticed that 103 roll number is not present in the second table, that is right table. The reverse of it is a right join. It will extract all the data from the right table and only the matching from the left table. Syntax is same, only difference is right join. Let's consider again the same example. Here all the rows from the right table will get considered, only the matching from the left one. And if there is no data for the matching record, null will get considered. So look at the query and look at the output. There are total 4 records in the right table, that's why 4 entries we could see. And if you don't have the data for the matching records, null will get displayed. Hope you understood what is cross join. It gives the Cartesian product. In case of inner join, we get only matching records. Then what about outer join? In case of left outer join, all the records will get considered from the left table and only matching one from the right one. The reverse of it is right join. Here all the records will get considered from the right table, whereas only matching one from the left table. Now it's time to consider remaining types of join, equijoin as well as non-equijoin. Let's try to understand what's the equijoin. Equijoin is a type of inner join. What is inner join? It gives only matching records. Then what's the difference between both of them? Here we are using comparison operator. There we use on clause. So look at the query. Select columns from table 1, comma table 2, where table 1 column name equals to table 2 column name. Based on the common column, we are extracting the record from both the tables. So this is how we write the inner join, but in case of equijoin, we write the query like this. Look at the output, records are exactly same. So from equijoin, it is understood that we are comparing the two common columns and we are using this comparison operator equal to. Whereas in case of non-equijoin, we are using these relational operators. This is how the query will look like. Notice this comparison operator greater than. Hope you got this output. The first record will get checked with all the records from the second table. 101 is not greater than any record. Now the second record will get compared with the roll numbers from the second table. This 102 roll number is greater than 101. So this entry we will get. Again the remaining roll numbers are not greater than 102. Now we will proceed to the third record, that is 103. It is greater than 101. That's why that entry we got. It is also greater than 102. That's why that record also we got. In this way we got the 3 records. Hope you understood this explanation. Here is the last type of join, that is natural join. What is the working of natural join? It also combines two tables based on the common column. We already saw that inner join as well as equi-join will do this job. It will give only the matching records. Then what's the difference between natural join and these two joins? That we will discuss. First let's check out the query. Select star from table name, natural join table 2. Here we need not specify the column name. It will automatically consider the column with the same name as well as same data type. Look at this query. Select star from student personal, natural join, student academics. And look at the data. We got only common columns from both the tables. Now what's the difference? Look at the output of inner join as well as equi-join. And here is the output of the natural join. These two outputs are same. Only the difference in the writing of the query. Natural join also gives the matching record, but the difference is it will display the matching column only once. We know the matching column is roll number, right? So look at the output. Here the roll number is displayed only once, whereas in these the roll number is displayed twice. So that is the difference. Hope you understood. Then let's revise these three joins. In equi-join we got the matching record and we use the comparison operator equal to. In non-equi-join we use these comparison operators greater than, less than, greater than equal to and less than equal to. Natural join also gives the matching record, but the common column will get displayed only once. Hope it is clear to you now. We studied Python and we studied one database that is nothing but MySQL. But we don't show our database to everybody. That's why through program we manage that database. That only we need to study how to handle databases through Python programming. For that here are the steps. Let's check out one by one. Obviously to write program we need some IDE. So we will start the Python. We are going to connect two different softwares, Python with MySQL. For that we need one connector. The name of the connector is MySQL.connector. So with the help of import statement we are going to import this module which will give us different functionality for the connectivity. You can see here this name is little longer and complicated. So to make it simple and small we can give alias to it. Just like MySQL we can give this as keyword. So now the command will look like import MySQL.connector as SQL con. This is nothing but an identifier. We know some modules will be inbuilt but some we need to install. This MySQL connector also we need to install. That we can do using pip before using it. It's a command to install any module. Alright, let's proceed to the next step. Now we are establishing the connection between MySQL and Python. For that we will be using connect function of this module MySQL.connector. Connect function takes 4 parameters. The first one is host, second one is user, the third is password and fourth one is the database. We need to just keep in mind host will be localhost and user will be root. These two values will be fixed. But what about the password? This is the password which you have entered while installing MySQL software. No need to worry about these 3 parameters. Generally it will be mentioned in the question. Now let's check out the fourth parameter. It is database. On which database you have to work, that name you will be mentioning here. It is an optional parameter. If you are not working with database, you can skip it. But generally we work with the database because tables will get created in the database itself. So with the connect function we will be creating one connection object. So this is nothing but an identifier. Let's give some name to it, that is MyDB. With that step connection got established between Python and MySQL. Now let's move ahead. We need one cursor which will process the records row by row. For that we are going to use cursor function. Obviously this cursor function will work on the connection object. So look at the syntax, connection object dot cursor. It doesn't take any parameter. So with that we are going to create one cursor object. Let's give it a name cursor. Connection got established and we are ready to process the records too. But how we will get the records? For that we will write the query. Hope you remember all the queries. We will be writing query and using execute function we will be executing it. We know that cursor is going to process that records row by row. That's why it works with the cursor object. So look at one simple example. Cursor.execute select star from employee. So after the execution of the query, we will get the result set. It means we will get the records. Now there is a category of fetch function which will decide how many records you want. You want all the records or you want limited records. In that category, the first is fetch all. It will fetch all the records, that too in the form of list of tuples. But if you don't want all the records, there is an option of fetch one. It will only extract or fetch one record. And if there are no records, it will return none. There is one more option with the help of which you can extract some specific number of records. The name is fetch many. You will be providing the parameter n, that is nothing but the number of records. Look at the syntax. This function works with the cursor object. Fetch all, fetch one and fetch many. There is one more property associated with the cursor object, that is called as row count, which will count the number of rows retrieved by the cursor. So this is how it will work. It will give the count of the records. Alright, we know when we establish the connection, we need to close it. For that we will be using close function which works with the connection object. Alright, now let's try to write one program by assembling all the steps together. Here we are writing a program which will show the databases. So the first step is to import MySQL.connector. Second step is to connect. Third step is to create cursor object. These three steps will be same. After that, in the fourth step, we will execute the query using cursor object, followed by fetching the records. Here we are fetching all the records and printing it. So look at the output. We will get the list of tuples. It is a list of tuples of all the databases because the query is show databases. You might have noticed that the 4 parameter we skipped because we are not working on any specific database. The same concept goes with show tables. Now we cannot skip database because the tables are in the database itself. This query is important. Select query. As we discussed, the first 3 steps will be fixed. Importing module using connect function and creating cursor object. This step is also fixed. Executing the query. Here we are displaying all the records from the EMP table. With fetch all we got all the records and one by one we are printing it. Look at the output. We are getting the tuples. If you want to fetch one record, you can use fetch one. If you want specific number of records, that also you can write it. We have mentioned 3, that's why we are getting 3 records. I would suggest to write these steps on paper and practice it. Ultimately, you have to write it in the exam. Now let's check out how to write insert query. These 3 steps are same. Hope you remember the insert query. Insert into table and here are the values. Make a note of it. Inside the query, we will be using single quote. That's why when you are writing query, make use of triple quotes. Then there will be no doubt between single quote, double quote and the triple quotes. Otherwise you will get into trouble. So include query in triple quotes and write single quotes inside. Alright, with the insert query we are changing something in the database. So to save that changes permanently we will be using one command, that is nothing but commit. It reflects the changes in the database. It is one of the TCL language. It is nothing but transaction control language. We already discussed 2 types of language, DDL and DML. This is the third one. It works with the database connection object because we are changing into the database. Hope you understood this explanation. You might have noticed we did not use any fetch function. Why? Because with the help of select only you will get some result set, right? Not with the insert command. So whenever there is select, there will be fetch functions. If you feel writing query here with the execute function is getting complicated, you can store it in one variable and then write the name of the variable in the execute function. Because sometimes the query will be too long. Some of the important queries we discussed like select, insert. Now let's discuss update too. These 3 steps are fixed. Here is one update query. Make sure you are enclosing the query in triple quotes. After executing, we are committing it so that the changes will reflect in the database. In the same way, we can write the delete query too. Make sure you know the format of delete query. Don't get confused. We know that these three steps are same. Here is the delete query. Delete from student personal where roll number equals to 104. Let's execute this query and commit. Now let's try to understand how to create table, insert records into it and display. So here are the three steps. Now let's write the query to create table. Create table product, product ID, product name, price. Let's execute this query. Table got created. It's time to insert data into it. So we are inserting 2 records, not many. This we generally write in the form of loop because many records we need to enter. This is just to understand the concept. Insert into table name, product, values, first value, second value and third value. Now let's write one query with the help of which we can display the records of the table. So here is the select query. Select star from product. We are displaying all the records. With the help of select you get the result set. So whenever there is a select query, then you will be using one of the fetch function to decide how many records you need to fetch. Here we are using fetch all and using for loop we are printing records one by one. Look at the output. We are getting it into the tuples. Here we are using insert command. It means you are changing something into the table. So you should use commit so that the changes will get saved permanently. Finally we will close the connection. Commit and close will work with the connection object, that is nothing but MyDB in our case. You can give any name but try to give meaningful so that you will not get confused. Execute and fetch all function works with the cursor object. We understood that when we want to enter many records, we will be using loop, and to enter records generally we will input the data because directly we cannot write values of each record. We will take the input and using loop we will enter the records into the table. So how to pass this input to the query? That is nothing but parameterized query. And in the program we understood whenever we design the query, it is in the form of string. So if we want to format the string, we will be using the concept of formatting the string. For formatting, 2 options we can use. First the old style with the % symbol and the new style with the format function. If you already know how to format the string, you will easily understand this. Wherever you want to place the string, for that you will be writing %s and the name of the variable we mention in the form of tuple followed by the % symbol. The same logic we are going to apply here also. So look at one simple query. Insert into product values. There are 3 values we need to provide. So we are writing 3 times %s. After completing the codes, we need to provide the variable name. Don't forget to write the % symbol. So here is PID, PName and price. The values will get replaced at the place where we have mentioned %s. In this way, with these values, one record will get inserted into the table. Why we are doing all this? Because we need to insert many records. So we will be taking the input and providing the variable name with the loop. Then we can insert many records into the table. So this is how it will look like. You are taking the input and passing the variable name. With that concept, you can write any query. Here is the update query and here is the delete query. If there is only one value, you can skip these brackets. Now let's understand the another way of formatting, that is nothing but using format function. This also you will easily understand if you would have used it for formatting of the string. This function is associated with the string. So this is nothing but our string. Then using dot apply this method format. In this case, wherever you want to replace this value, you will be writing one placeholder. That placeholder is indicated by the curly brackets. It means what? 101 will get replaced here. Look at the query now. Select star from product where PID equals to 101. If that value you are taking in a variable, write the variable name. So use format method of the string and write the placeholder. Then with that concept you can write any query. Here is update query, insert query as well as delete. Wherever you want to replace the value, write the placeholder. Note one thing, wherever there is a string value, you will be enclosing that placeholder in the single quote or in the double quote. But always to write query, use triple quotes to avoid complications. Placeholders can be anywhere. Look at this update query. Update product, set price equals to this and PID equals to this. So the first value always will get replaced at the first placeholder and the second value will get replaced at the second placeholder. Order and the sequence you need to maintain. Hope you understood the whole logic of creating the connection between MySQL and Python. Thank you so much for watching this video. Your full revision is done. If you want me to cover any topic or in case you have any doubt, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. In the next video, we will start solving question papers so that you get a real idea of how questions are framed and how to answer them smartly. So stay tuned, stay confident and keep practicing, because remember, winners are not those who never fail but those who never quit. See you in the next video. Let's conquer the boards together.